Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 221st live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we are going to be tackling 3 new subclasses, all coming from Hecate, coming from their new, recently submitted and reviewed Samurai class. These are all about one-pagers, so we should be able to get through it with minimal tangents, mainly just because I think they're going to be concrete enough, and seeing what we saw on the main class, I think this is going to suit some ideas that we had. So let's hope that we get a lot more details than we did last time, because I know that we were a little bit harsh on it, but we were very excited to see these. So we're going to review each one of them. We are going to give each one of them their own score, but we're going to try to get through all of them today. So join us and find out what Hecate has in store for us with 3 new subclasses. You bam.
Shalom, my friends. Welcome.
Welcome. There we go. Nice. That is which corner that's that corner. Bam. All right. Yeah, so I did think about it, and I think that going through all 3 of them is going to be for sure.
Okay. Cool.
And let's see here. The actual samurai class itself.
There we go.
That was back on... When was that? That was a couple of them ago. Like 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think it's been at least a month, I want to say.
But it did have... I mean, that one itself got a cool 9 out of 10. I know we were really interested in it.
Absolutely.
I was just kind of looking over... I think most of what we were talking about in the beginning was what it had.
I think a big thing for me was going to be a lot of what the subclasses added to them. Like the base class is good, and I think there was elements that I saw. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But that I saw that really drew me to the synergy of how things like play with each other and like different ways you can do things. I saw a lot of like a feel of like monk in there. Saw a lot of like fighter in there, and these are all the types of things that I feel like you would expect to see from something like this. So yeah, no, I'm super excited to see how these subclasses run with it. And I think they were themed, weren't they?
Yes. So I am looking back over it. I know one of the things that we had mentioned before is how well the primary class really leans into its subclasses. It knows that it's not providing everything itself, and it calls very much to providing each subclass with a better version of its own specialty, in terms of like the resolve points and superior techniques, being able to say, hey, you're going to get all that from your subclass, so I'm just here to make sure they do what they need to do. Instead of the other way around, where some subclasses, like in fighter, feel more like they are trying to make the fighter feel good. This is more like I'm trying to make my subclasses feel good.
Got you. Okay. No, I vibe with that. Yeah, I'm super here for that. So I think it'll be good.
Do we want to... I don't know if the schedule got updated before today. So I don't know if Hecate knows it's theirs.
I was looking at that, and I was like, I was so sure. Like, I've been dealing with some other stuff, but I was thinking back. I was like, do I need to go check the schedule? No, I updated it, and if I hadn't, somebody would have yelled at me for it. And so I was like, no, I was good. But now I'm looking, and it doesn't look like it did. So I don't know if it just didn't.
Yeah, maybe the webhook broke or something. Discord's had a lot of updates recently.
Something like that. Yeah, and so I don't know if you saw, I did send you something in admin chat a while ago about some of the changes that they were making to certain things and repeals to other things. So I don't know exactly how that works or whatever, but it's something to look into. But yeah, let me look into that real quick.
Yeah, I don't think I saw those. I'll have to check that out later.
Okay.
What's going on, Hecate? You actually arrived. That's good. Good, you're here.
Welcome.
You know what the deal is.
Excited. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah. So a couple. Oh yeah, I remember only now that there was an idea that I had for last Friday, but at the time I just didn't think about it. And then we ended up playing games.
Fair enough.
But let's see. What are we dealing with? We have, it's not this Saturday, it's the following Saturday that we're gonna have the community stream. I still haven't done April's community stream. Let me get that set up real quick.
Oh, so people can start earning. Yeah, that's
yeah. I'll make that one only 10K since we're this far into it, into the month. We're already 3 streams in, so I'll make it cheaper. But yeah, I was gonna suggest that on stream we get set up for the community stream that we're gonna do in 2 weeks, but maybe I'll do that this Friday while you're out.
Oh yeah, that would be an interesting idea.
So March community stream is complete. 10K. We're gonna let this one go. How many days do we have left? And we'll set it for 19. That's fine. Bam, 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 boom, boom, boom. All right, April community stream ready to go. We have a question from chat. Go ahead. Make some chicken fried steak with some mashed potatoes. That sounds delicious. All right, so April community stream ready to go. This coming up community stream, I still need to talk to you, Kage, about that, but I will get some stuff set up this week, maybe this Friday on the stream for that. I think that's it. You're not here Friday, community stream the next time. You're also not here Saturday. That's right. Cool. All right, so that's about it. I think that was all of the major updates. I did start working on that Schedule 1 video.
I saw the intro to that, dude.
I'm very happy with that intro. There's a few things I need to touch up. I know that there's a couple rough spots that I need to like make feel better, but I'm super proud with myself about that.
Absolutely. It looks really clean. I wasn't sure like the direction you were gonna go with the whole video, but like seeing how you're putting it together, like I really like the direction it's going. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I hope it lands well. Like the thing is like I'm so proud of the intro, and I can see how it's gonna be like when it's all finalized, but I feel like now, because I did the intro first, I'm almost nervous that the rest of the video won't it'll be a great intro and then the rest of the video will be like kind of crappy, but we'll see.
It won't have to. I think it'll work out. And worst case scenario, you can always do a little bit of voiceover here and there if you want to, spice a certain section up or whatever.
Yeah, that. Cosmic got a question. Potential attacker fighting style, or patient attacker. Was this the one that you would give up? No, hold on. That was Kage's. Kage, yours was like the stance thing, right? Where you would take a stance and not move, and then you would use your reaction. So, Cosmic's patient attacker. I don't know if that was like in line with the same thing where it was a reactionary move, or if it. I don't remember. I
remember what he's talking about. I don't remember what review it was in, but there was.
It was for their turtle character, so I don't know if that was a review or if that was just something that they were talking about. That's why I'm having a hard time remembering it, because it wasn't part of a review.
I remember they were basically talking about being able to do your attacks as your reactions, I think it was, or something like that. So it's basically you
Oh, it was in Discord, yeah.
Dodge action.
So this was something from Discord. So it's a reactionary delayed attack.
Yes. I think it was a very similar idea to what I was talking about, but implemented in a unique way. And I think it was a feat, wasn't it? Was it a feat? Oh, it was a fighting style. That's what it was. But yeah, okay.
Because that one, I think with yours is about stances, but with what we heard, I think with what I remember from Cosmic, it was more intentional. Everything was done from the point of that like delayed attack. I think it was much more of a focus. So I don't remember the details, but because that was a homebrew thing, right, Cosmic? Like you had that worked out with your DM to do that.
I'm gonna find it real quick. If it was in Discord, I would think it would either be in.
If you search Tortle, I'm sure you'd be able to find it in Discord.
Portal.
Oh, that's so awesome! I didn't think about that. It looks like, I guess I'm drinking like Pepsi, like a Pepsi Max or something. But
oh, really?
I'm actually just drinking a water, but the can's green. So the can just looks like jet black from here, which is awesome, but it's totally just my water can. It's just straight green. It's great. I agree. Yeah, nothing really has that samurai vibe. Not even any of the subclasses, really, which is why I know Kage has been really trying to figure that out for themselves and build out their own. And that's why we're so excited for these subclasses, just because we've been wanting to see something akin to a samurai, and there really hasn't been anything. So I'm glad everybody's kind of like looking forward to it. Like it seems everybody wants a samurai in some capacity. So good on everybody for calling it out that what we need. But yeah, so now that I have the April community stream up and running, I see Cosmic already gave us some points for that. And ours is coming up this month, not this Saturday, but a week from Saturday. You won't be here on Friday. That's all the updates. I think we can move forward. You good?
Yes, I'm looking. I just searched Tortle in our Discord. I'm trying to see if I can find.
Oh, gotcha. Also, what's the update on your green screen?
Oh, yes. So, the one that I originally was going to order, it was. They like stopped selling it or whatever. Like I when I went to go order it, it was like, yeah, you can't order this one anymore. So
like a scam company where they were just like dipped in, sold their product, and they dipped out.
Something. And I was like, all right. It looked a little ghetto, but whatever, it's fine. So I found another one, and that one should hopefully be here in a couple days.
Cool. All right, I will get everything prepped and ready. I would just suggest, if you're gonna also do that, get some sort of external light. Mostly not for yourself, for the backdrop, because how like the lights that we have, anything that can help light up the actual thing will help make it darker.
Well, I do have, like right now, it's pointed the other way so it doesn't like shine on my face, but I have like a lamp right behind my desk that I could just point up and shine at the backlight.
Yeah, either that or try to put it like off to the side of you, so it's not directed at you, but again, yeah. Well, we can walk you through that once you have it.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
All right, cool. Well, let's find out what we got, because we are going to go through all three of these. Oh no. Aha! No, I don't see that. You don't see anything. All right. So let's start with the first of three. We got the Kenjutsu Master. And I believe, we have the Sword and Katana Specialist. Starting with the description, as always, a single perfect cut, swift, precise, unstoppable. So knowing that what we saw in the main class with kind of following the fighter vibe, right? We're going to get some extra attacks. We're going to get these specialty techniques. I think what we also saw is there's going to be like a melee, a swordsman, and I think, what was the other one? A spearman?
There was a spearman, and then there was the
archer.
Bowman.
Yeah, so the archer, the spearman, and a swordsman. So
yes.
I like, obviously we also like descriptions, but I also like just the quick, to the point. It is, I'm hoping, going to be followed up with exactly that. I'm really hoping that a lot of what this class is going to have is fast, direct, non-complicated, and what I mean by complicated is things that don't require knock-on effects, like, you know, they don't require triggers, or they don't have like a if-then scenario. I have a feeling this one's gonna be
basically one page, so
that's, yeah. So I'm expecting with this idea it's gonna be powerful, probably more powerful than the others, but this one is going to not be situational specific. I'm hoping that this one's gonna be much more versatile, where these abilities we're gonna say like, hey, that's gonna be great against an archer or a wizard. That one will be great against, you know, a barbarian or a monk. Like, I'm hoping that these are going to be things that we can easily apply to most situations without it feeling like, you know, like press B to win kind of thing.
Sure. Okay.
All right.
No, I'm here for that.
Great picture for a good swordsman. Hands are a little bit wonky, but that's okay. We're going to ignore that. And we're going to move on to our first ability. So at level 3, we get the Iaido. Yeah, the Iaido draw. I think I said that right. I don't know. Don't quote me on it.
I think so. That sounds right.
Is it either Iaido or Iaido? I think. Iaido? I don't know. Again, don't quote me on anything. But this is a draw technique. So you gain proficiency with blacksmithing tools if you don't already have it. I like that. Of course, always good to have verbiage that suggests if you already have it, if there's an alternative. Again, I always default to your suggestion that the game really should have an expertise in these situations only.
Absolutely.
When you roll initiative and your katana treated as a longsword wielded two-handed with finesse.
Let me see how normal that is.
So basically, and I do like this. I appreciate this because we're basically inventing this weapon. So I like how the Hecate's added this in, where we are identifying the weapon at hand, but we're saying for mechanical purposes, we are, instead of just rebuilding it from scratch and giving all this, you know, the complicatedness. I like that we're directing it to something that's easily referenceable and already has stats in place, right? So longsword damage, two-handed, so you need to use it, but it also has finesse.
So I love it because using it two-handed means you get the versatile option, which you get the higher damage die, which is the D10. I love that they add finesse. I think that because what finesse does is it allows you to use your dexterity modifier when you do your attacks instead of your strength modifier, and normally longsword doesn't have that. And adding that specifically with this, I feel like makes so much sense for a katana, and I think that's perfect.
I agree. I think that right there could be an amazing basis to bring the katana into the mainstream D&D weapons list.
Yeah.
I think this would be a great starting point to utilize that. Maybe even break the rules a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing this to be like a D12, or I could even also recognize that it could be a D8. You know what I mean?
So
like I can ration any 3 of those. So realistically, it's a great basis to start on with the, like you said, longsword with finesse. That's a great way to represent how better this is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities here. I think, and you know what? I'm not gonna lie. So it's in scenarios like this that I like being weird. I would almost like, normally when you look at damage die. So right now the highest damage die is a heavy weapon, which is a I think it's a battle axe, not a battle axe, great axe, which is a D12. And then you have a great sword, which is 2d6, which is a max of 12. So it's like kind of the same max, but just a slightly different way to do it.
Right.
With something like this, I like the D10 a lot, but I also like a little bit, not necessarily variety, but I would almost do something like a D4 and a D6 for the damage die.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's theoretically the exact same thing as 2d6 versus a d12, right?
Honestly, like considering like that mentality, I wouldn't even mind it being 2d8.
2d8 again, and I agree with what you're saying. It feels like I would have a hard time explaining why a long sword can do more damage than a great axe. Like, like how are we?
But see, I don't look at it as another longsword. We're looking at it as if we were to treat this as like we were bringing the katana mechanically into D&D. I would absolutely say, just like you said, with the 2d6, it still maxes out. I think the katana has the justification to go beyond the average occasionally, simply because of its precision use. Because it's not a beating weapon, it's not meant to go through armor. It's not meant to, just hack away. It is meant only for when you have that precision strike, when you have the moment to go through the armor. I think it's more representative of the way you use the weapon, not the weapon's ability to do damage. The way you hold a longsword, the way you wield a great axe, while those do great amounts of damage, the katana, with certain specific strikes, I think could deal more devastating amounts of damage to your opponent.
Now, practically, like in execution, I very much agree with that. My question would be, like, how do we, like, is what you're suggesting the way you want to represent that, right? Like just basically giving it a higher damage die is going to articulate all of that in
that is the way that I would do it. Now, granted, 5th edition, I mean, I like you said, I'm not suggesting that this is a good representation against something directly mechanically like the battle axe or the great axe, but I do think that the D12 damage cap is a little bit outplayed in terms of, I'm not trying to get to a D20 here, but sure. I do think that there is room to play around with things that fit, because again, if we just go with it being a longsword treated as a longsword two wielded, then it's just a longsword two wielded, and all we're doing is adding finesse, right? It's not really a different weapon. And that's where I have a problem with, we have all of these different weapons, but at the end of the day, if they all do the same damage with only a minute amount of difference in situation, I don't feel like it really represents it.
I very much agree. And that is where I think that something that, 5.5 did right, which was introduce weapon masteries, which basically is the way where you can have an additional feature of your specific weapon because you are a master in that weapon. So for instance, hammer, there's an ability you can do that actually when you hit a target with one of your attacks, it pushes them back 5 feet. With an axe, you have the ability to cleave, which means you can hit like up to, I think, 3 targets with a singular attack.
Yeah. I remember those.
All of them have like unique things that basically make them feel more unique. Like so exactly what you just said, like they don't all just feel like carbon copies of each other, right?
Yeah.
Because that's, to me, what every weapon felt like, regardless of, I don't care that I have an axe or a whip, they all just do a singular die of damage. Like there's nothing unique about them. But imagine if I had a whip and saying I could basically pull somebody in closer to me, or I could grapple a target at range. Something as simple as that.
Okay, so I think because we still have to get back to this particular one, but yeah, I think even more so going with Hecate's idea of a draw weapon, or at least a draw feature. If you were to translate this into 5th edition, in order to justify the extra damage, even more so than like the greatsword, I would even stick with the D10. But when sheathed, I would be absolutely, like from the 5th edition point of view of what the feature is if you use a katana, is when sheathed, you have a -1 to your AC, but you get a D6, like a plus D6, or a plus D4 to your attack.
I think that in and of itself is sick. Like if you basically said, if you do an attack from the sheath's position, you do additional damage with your attack, that's freaking phenomenal.
Right. Like, but there would have to be like some sort of like, situation, because if I'm in the middle of of combat, it either has to take action economy to sheath it, or it has to have some detriment to sheath it, right? And I instead of saying there should be action economy involved, because that's not necessary. I don't know how many other weapons or what 5th edition specifically says about sheathing weapons, and if that's one of the free actions or not.
It does. It is. That's exactly what it is.
So then this would just be easy to just say, well, I always have it sheathed. Because, then, oh my God, I use my free action, I sheath it, now I have that. So my detriment would be you can sheath it for free, but because you don't have it out, you're going to have a negative to your AC because you don't have the fullest benefit of your defenses, which is your weapon. So it's a small change, but it's enough to, in certain battles, make you rethink, is that D4 worth me putting my weapon away and losing that AC right now? Because technically in battle, for you to sheath your weapon in order to get that extra strike would put you in a vulnerable position.
I would say that there's a skill set that one could learn that wouldn't necessarily do that. Like, especially if like that's your bread and butter, especially if that's what you do. Like, you can that is to your advantage. And yet, like, overall, yes, like traditionally, if I'm just like trying to like sheath my weapon, yeah, I'm putting myself in a dangerous position where I gotta stop, I gotta put my stuff away, I gotta like make sure I put myself in a very, very different defensive posture. But again, when I look at somebody like Rurouni Kenshin, I know again it's anime, but like the idea of there are ways for a person when they're interacting in these ways to find ways that they use all of those elements that could normally be downsides to their advantage.
Yeah, and to me that's my problem with like 5th edition is it's just like there's always a way to explain why there shouldn't be a detriment. You know what I mean? Like there's always a reason to explain why things should always be additive and never subtractive.
I don't think there shouldn't be a detriment. Like I would do something a little bit different. I would probably say something like, in order to get that additional damage, you can't move on your turn, or something to that effect, right? Like because like for me, if I'm gonna be doing that, like that needs to be, it's almost like an aimed shot or something like that, right? There are certain things that what's that one feat you can get that basically says you get a -5 to your attack roll but a +10 to your damage, right? I got flat +10, which is insane. So like there's things like that, and like I think the detriment of not being able to move, like it's not as bad when you're a melee fighter, but like if the enemy knows that that's happening and they choose to move away from you and force you to move, okay, you can move, you can still do your attack from your sheath and get its other potential benefits, but you won't get the additional damage benefit because you had to move. So like I definitely agree. I do think there should be downsides. I'm just trying to think of like how, like what would make most sense for me, and I don't disagree that would be an effective way to do that. But
I think it also represents the fighting style too, because again, with that fighting style, you're at your best when your weapon's out. So at any given time, unlike other fighting styles, even just in general, having a -1 to your AC outside of combat isn't like a big deal, but it's still kind of narratively that fighting style of without your weapon out, you aren't complete. You're not at your full. That is where you have complete control of your combat prowess. That's how
mechanical fighting styles. You're just talking about katana fighting style.
Yeah, just the the idea, because we're gonna we're keeping it in from the mindset of like the samurai mentality, right? So that is unlike other. I could just narratively see that unlike other fighting styles that are bore out of war, this one being much more out of tradition.
There's actually an entire style of the samurai art that is devoted to the drawing of the blade.
Yeah.
And like
I was just talking about the negative AC when you don't have your weapon out, though. Like narratively speaking, for the use of the katana, I could that I would use that as the reason why that detriment would make sense, because with the use of the katana as a weapon, it is more often that is the primary fighting style that you want, is with weapon out. You know what I mean? It's
and so in response to that statement is what I was saying is that there are some samurai fighting styles whose entire style is having it sheathed. Like that's their whole thing. Like that's what they train for, is to end the fight in a singular strike. And so their whole thing is, I'm going to have my weapon sheathed the entire time. I will draw it once, do what I have to do, and then it goes right back. Like that's their whole style. There are other samurai styles, very much so, which are exactly what you're talking about. That their entire thing is about having their weapon now. I'm just saying, like, and this is like specifically for subclass purposes. Like theoretically, say that you're like, because I will be having a subclass that is exactly that. That is everything. Like you are better when your weapon is sheathed, specifically because that is what this. Like if you do another strike after your weapon comes out without sheathing it first, like that will be a detriment to you because you do so much better coming from the sheathed position. And so like if this is what this particular subclass was going to be leaning into, specifically the drawing of the sword, I can see that as not being something I would want to take away from, but I would want to build upon. Right? And so I wouldn't want to penalize you for that specifically, but I would say that there's something you have to spend to do it, like a cost for you. Like you can't use your movement or something like that. But I wouldn't want it to be like, oh, it's easier to hit me that way. That's the only reason I'm you know bringing that piece up. But
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to solve it via like you said, a subclass, yeah, that makes sense too. Like it would make sense if you were specialized in doing it. So yeah. But going back to what Hecate has for us. So this one, what they've done is longsword, two-wielded or two-handed, but they get finesse, which gives them dexterity, you said. Right? That they use their dexterity instead of their strength.
They can attack. They can attack with their dexterity, and their bonus to their damage is based on their dexterity.
Gotcha. So when you roll initiative and your katana is sheathed, you can immediately draw and make a single melee weapon attack against a creature within reach. I like that part. I like how it's not move and attack. It's not like a free whole round. You basically get one free attack within a space. I do like that. That actually sounds pretty legit. On hit, this attack deals one additional weapon die of damage. So that's kind of going along the line of what you were talking about, where it's like a one, you want to down your foe, one hit, we're done.
Yeah.
You can't use this quick draw attack again until you roll initiative for future combat. So it's only at initiative. So I like that. You know, it's only for future combat initiatives.
Oh, okay.
Your mastery extends to precision strikes. When attacking with your katana, your critical range expands to 19. So you can crit on a 19. I love that. I love being able to adjust when you can crit. I think that that's a great opportunity. I think this is starting out, because this isn't something that you're going to get to do a lot. Like you don't often have control over this, especially in the way that 5e DMs I feel run combat. I don't feel like you're going to have a lot of opportunity to know exactly when initiative is going to start. So to be able to be positioned within range is, I think, a good barrier to this ability.
So yeah.
Because how strong this is coming out the gate, you could one hit. I mean, if this thing's doing a D10 of damage, you're doing 2d10 of damage out the gate at third level with this. And this is just a free attack. This is one free attack before the game. So if you're getting attacked by 4 monsters and you can down one before initiative starts, that's huge.
And just imagine, because there's, and again, we're not necessarily talking about min-maxing here, but there is a subclass of, I think, Ranger that basically says, if you are going in combat and you're attacking somebody that has not yet gone in combat, you have advantage on that attack.
Okay.
So if you had that ability and you're doing this the second you roll initiative, no matter who rolls initiative, you get to go before them. You get to attack them when the dice are rolled.
Yep.
Before anyone gets to go, even if it's a freaking surprise round, you get to go. You get to hit. And if you have advantage on that, it's way more likely that you're going to crit. Now, the question would be, with the way you read this, say you're using the very, very traditional 5th edition rules that say you double your damage dice when you crit. If you were to crit on this particular attack, would you roll 4d10 or 3?
So, fifth edition, how does crit normally work?
Traditionally, if I attack you and I'm doing 1d4 damage and I crit, I now do 2d4 damage.
Okay, so it doubles it doubles however many die you're rolling.
The amount of dice. Just
so,
yes.
I think it's kind of tricky. I would rule it that you get everything. From a fifth edition mindset, I would say that you double everything because you initiated the ability first, which indicated the damage die, and then the crit doubles damage die. But
sure,
rules as intended, again, I don't play a lot of fifth edition, but I feel that while it's probably utilized that way, it sounds as if it was meant to only double the base level die. So if you have like an ability, now again, this is why I'm assuming that if you have a special weapon that does an extra damage die, that does an extra 40, a D4 of fire damage. If crit normally doubles that, then it doubles this. If crit normally can't double that, then it wouldn't double. You see what I mean?
Maybe this will give you a little context. A rogue gets sneak attack, right? And they get however many sneak attack dice. So say you get like 5 sneak attack dice, and then you get 1 weapon dice, right? Mm-hmm. If they crit, they double the sneak attack and the weapon dice. It doubles everything.
Right. So yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, if I attack with a weapon that does like a D8, but also does a 1d4 fire damage, right? Mm-hmm. Does crit double the fire damage?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, that of course, that's all you need to know is whether or not this gets doubled. Is that if any other additive that's not the base of the weapon gets doubled, then this is treated just like that. It's treated like any other added, because again, 5th edition's very direct on, like, it's calling this damage dice, it doubles all damage dice. It doesn't say, unless it specifies that, and that's where I would say, like, yeah, I think that's what it would be, but again, 5th edition's all about the players. So I like that, though. I think that this is extremely powerful, but I think this situation that basically the fact that the player doesn't have 100% control on this is what makes it balanced. Because if they can, great. If they can't, man, like, it's on the DM to be mindful of where they put them.
If you want to, what do you call it? If you want to play into this ability, right, and be basically like the front line, the person that always goes first, so you're the most likely to be adjacent to somebody, right? If you're like, say you're in a dialogue with a group of people and it could go bad, I ensure that I position myself adjacent to somebody that might be my enemy, or whatever the case may be. Or, okay, weird question. If you're a DM and you have one of your players and they're talking to an NPC, they're just having a conversation, and that player wants to then surprise attack the NPC that they're talking to, just out of nowhere, pull out their sword and slash them, right? Now, I would personally rule that that's depending upon their passive perception and how good you are and how quick you are. Like, you would get advantage on that, especially if they're not expecting an attack from you, if they're not like wary of you or whatever. Would you roll initiative before or after that surprise attack?
Oh, I always do it after. I cannot stand, and I've made this exact complaint about Baldur's Gate. It's one of my biggest pet peeves about Baldur's Gate, is that the moment you take an action that instigates combat, combat's already begun. And I hate that. It is not something I would ever promote. If you sneak attack somebody, like if you're in a rogue, right? And you're in a room and you have the rogue be able to take someone out, why are you rolling initiative? Like the idea for me, and now granted, there is a argument, I will say, for the control of action economy. Some people have made the argument that they do it in order to not have everyone aware that there's combat, but set the stage for actions.
Do things at once. Yeah.
But I'm also not a fan of that either. To me, if you haven't instigated the actual action of combat, everything is still within roleplay. So if you do something like that and you can pull it off without, alerting anybody else, that's considered roleplay still. There's no reason for me to take over initiative and then give everyone a numbered round when everybody's still actively doing. Again, nothing's changed in the world except that NPC's down, right? It's not, to me, rolling initiative only matters when everybody is now going to be engaged. But again, this is also a weird concept because everyone assumes that you have to act in combat, right? Whereas with me, combat is just it's a way to more categorize what's happening on a much more smaller scale, time-wise. But with that, the way I run my games, it's not expected that because you're in initiative, you were in combat, right? Being in initiative and being in combat aren't the same thing.
Is a lot of the times, like, my players will be going through a dungeon, right? They'll just be walking through like corridors in a dungeon, and they'll be in initiative, but not because they're in combat, but because who knows what could happen, and I want
you want an order of operations.
Yelling at me at the same time. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Oh, I want to do that for him. Oh, I want to. So let's set up initiative so that we can organize who's doing what when. And I can do that just by saying, okay, you go first, you go first, you go first. But then, oh, it's not fair. Oh, I wanted to do this before he. Yeah,
and that's the thing is, for me, I understand that argument. I'm not against that argument. If it helps you organize the actions of everybody, that's totally fine. Again, initiative is not always combat. That I'm not against. I just don't do it myself. It's not something that I would do, but it's also not something I wouldn't advise against. I just advise against initiating initiative for combat purposes before we've left roleplay. In that sense, in the sense that
I totally agree. With that.
Now, granted, I very rarely, if ever, use initiative outside of combat because just the way that I work with my players, usually I don't have a problem. That's not a flex. It's just my situation.
I'll say the players that you choose, that's much more doable with, for sure.
That's just happens to be my experience. But when it comes to combat, until true combat, until everybody is aware that it isn't, because again, for me, the way I look at combat, especially in High Point, combat is a life or death, or a de-escalation method, right? The idea is, again, death is always a decision, right? It's not just always fight to the death, but the whole point is once combat has started, once I roll initiative, people, it's instigating or not instigating. It is representing the fact that everyone has a different mindset, right? A guard who's alert is still in role play mode. A guard who is like, you are now my target, and anything you say, like, at this point, you could still roleplay during combat, but they are actively in the moment trying to do something, right? And to me, that's where the stakes get a little bit high, which maybe also is a reason why High Point feels a little bit different, is because I don't just use it as a platform. Like, I don't use initiative to set the stage very often. That happens kind of like in a video game, right? You could take, like a stealth game, you could take out a couple guards, but once you're seen doing it, the alarms get raised, and then it's like, oh god, now it's actually serious. That's kind of what I like initiative to be, is you can do all of these things, but once you say, oh, roll initiative, it's kind of like having a conversation. You're in the middle of a dinner, you're having a polite conversation, and all of a sudden, like, you could be arguing with somebody, or you could just be having this intense conversation, no one's mad, and then out of nowhere, I just go, all right, he stands up, roll initiative. That moment is what I want. That feeling of that heart drop of, wait, what right now? I don't want this, oh, you're having a conversation. Okay, well, you're all wanting to talk. Let's roll initiative. Because then the idea of combat is there's no surprise. There's no unleashing of the combat. There's no intense moment. Now everyone's just waiting to do the thing that they want to do. They're not present with the escalation of emotions. They're not there decide, I want them to react just as their characters would when they realize, oh, things have gotten serious. And that to me is why initiative is so important.
That I very much agree with that. And I think that is a huge, I would almost call that a storytelling point. Like that is a way to bring your players into the story that isn't well used. And so, like, I would say for the scenario I gave earlier, like, I don't see there being a super significant place for me to do that in the times where I would have my players already in initiative, right? Like if they were like walking around in a dungeon, like unless I had planned out, okay, and as soon as they get through this big door, there's going to be a big dark room, and then this ominous creature is going to come. Like I would want a roll initiative moment there. But
Yeah.
like if you're just walking around trying to like explore this floor to see what's going on, like I'm not super worried about it. So I feel like that is a tool for the DM to use to know, okay, I want to have basically what I would call an initiative mic drop, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe that I got.
And that's where I feel like if you overuse it, then they're just like, oh, okay, we're gonna unlock something. Like again, it's also just it's too meta-y. If you're in initiative, you know that you're either going to get into combat or you're trying to achieve something, right? It's like a not quite like a cutscene, but you know what I mean? It's like it's a build-up. You know that's gonna happen. Whereas I try to make those.
I don't want them to think every time I'm in initiative it's like that, and so I try to use it outside of.
And that's good. Like I said, if it's used and helpful as a tool, great. Just don't abuse it and don't do it preemptively as long as there's role play still involved, right? And
the whole purpose for that question. Good.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, and it's also good as a learning tool, because let's say you're in a fight. Let's say, you know, you're RPing some shit and you're like, you know what? Screw it. I take out my sword and I slash this guy. And I don't tell you to roll initiative. I just have the NPC turn around and go, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Or you know, the situation where they don't react with immediate combat. That's another tool. Because if you do something that you think is going to initiate combat, and combat, I don't say immediately, okay, now roll for initiative. That should tell you, wait a second, what I just didn't get their attention the way I like, you know what I mean? Like, I want those moments to be keys. And if you just always have, if everyone says, I want to do these attacks, and you say, well, roll initiative, now they assume they've initiated combat when maybe they didn't. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep them in that mindset of you were in combat now, because.
And the reason why I asked that is because when this specific ability occurs, say
yes, at the rolling of initiative,
on the use of this ability, I want to capitalize on the use of this ability. Okay, so the samurai walks up to somebody, is talking with them, whatever. In the player's mind, they already know, they've planned, we're going to start a fight here and we're going to kill these people. Like, that's what we want to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So before initiative, before combat, before anyone knows what's going on, the samurai just walks up and goes to interact with these people and chat them up or whatever. And then he punches one of them, or whatever the case may be. Maybe he kicks one of them. Maybe he headbutts one of them, whatever. And then initiative does start. There might be a scenario where it doesn't, but in a scenario where it does,
you would assume that starts initiative.
Would they then get another free attack? So boom, I hit you, and then kaboom.
Okay, so
initiative starts, and now we roll.
Okay, cool, great fucking question. So in high point, it depends. It all depends, right? So in a narrative sense, if you had like two people and you were just like, I just want to like gut kick this guy and then use this ability to draw and get some extra damage on the second guy, right? More often than not, that would be okay, because you're not really like doing two full attacks. Like, narratively speaking, it's fine, right? You did it two things quick enough, I would be fine. More often than not, especially if it's just something you want to do in the moment, I'm more okay with it. But when things are a dedicated feat, that's when I am less lenient in their usage and in their abuse, because the point of the ability is to be the highlight, not to necessarily be an additive. So it's like, this is a specific thing that you can do, or let's say that we turned it into a feat. So just anybody could use the idea of, drawing your weapon as a free attack. But I would feel that in order to justify it as a feat, it's something that you have to like really think about. So I wouldn't want it to just be an obvious, I can always do one thing and then this, as long as it's before combat, right? Like, narratively it's fine, but there's an unknown barrier at which it would be considered too much, if that's what you're always trying to do, or again, if the situation just doesn't make any sense, right? But, if it's like one of those anime movements where you're just talking to two guards that are in front of you, one slightly to the left, one slightly to the right, and you just wanted to just do the shove and then draw on the other one, you still get the double damage on the other one, and all you did was give yourself 5 feet with the other guy, so now you're starting an initiative 5 feet away from him, or like, 10 feet or whatever. That's fine. Like, that could be totally fine. But if you want to do a thing where you're like, well, I have this ability, but I also have a dagger, so I'm going to pull out my dagger and stab this guy, but before initiative, I want to do this, or again, if you're playing in 5th edition, if you say, I'm going to talk to these guys and I'm going to punch, or I'm going to stab this guard, DM, now you're going to roll initiative, right? Cool. Now that we rolled initiative, I'm now activating this ability that only activates on initiative, so I get 2 free. That's what I'm not okay with. The concept of, if you're going to try to pull off a whole ass action to start initiative so you get a free ass action, I know that that's what 5e is meant for, but that's where I would draw the line in high point. For me, it's okay to do a kick, a shove, maybe a punch, but this whole concept of like doing something to trigger initiative so this triggers, that's what I don't like about 5th edition, because that's what 5th edition asks for. It asks you to find those, connections, but it's just, it doesn't play well with the story. You know what I mean? It's too mechanical and less story driven. I'd rather you do that in the story, do that same exact thing, but make it make sense in the story more than, but this is exactly what the feat says, right? I can do anything I want before initiative because I just did an action, but then you roll initiative and then this ability like that's
what. Okay. What if the rogue shot the arrow from the shadows? So I'm up in melee distance with this dude. Then the rogue from behind me starts initiative, or does the thing that causes initiative to start, i.e.,
and then you pull this off right after. Fuck yeah, 100%. Again, that 100% fine, because that is what this is used for. If you are in the position, like I said, that is the balance though. Is it's so hard for the player to be responsible for initiative outside of situations like that. And if you guys are working as a team, teammate stuff way more lenient, because that requires coordination. That actually requires the rogue to hit the guy to be more beneficial. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on with that situation, but that's better than you preparing everything and just being able to abuse it every single time you want. That actually requires other people, which absolutely is fine. So yeah, if you wanted to set it up to where every time you think there's going to be a fight, if you wanted to set it up where somebody else starts the fight and you're in position, that's the point. To me, that is the point of D&D. That is the point of being in a party. That is the point of knowing each other's abilities and how to play with each other. That is the kind of metadata I want players to work with as they develop their character relationships, right? That's why I want them to be like, hey, when you do that ability, I can pair it with this. But it's when they want to abuse it just to be the main character, that's the problem.
Okay, slightly different but along the same lines question. If that character, instead of wanting to cheese the system, wanted to say instead of trying to stab him with a dagger first and then pull off this sword technique, say if I just wanted to, outside of initiative, pull off this sword technique to start initiative. So
right.
Instead of trying to abuse it, I'm just trying to use it, but theoretically before initiative starts.
I would be fine with that. Like again, let me step away real quick, but there is one caveat. Yes, I would allow that, but there's a caveat. So I'll be right back.
Okay. We'll wait for the caveat, but I'm interested. I definitely like what you have so far, Hecate. This is. I know we're still on the freaking first level ability, or the third level ability, the first ability for this subclass. But no, this is. First of all, I love the way that you have used. You've articulated this. Now, I'm curious, when you say treated as a longsword wielded two-handed, is that of the mindset that like this sword is only wielded two-handed, or when you wield it two-handed, or specifically this particular ability is treated as though it's two-handed, i.e. using the D10.
So to answer your question,
yes. Caveat.
So the problem with that is, again, it's all going to be based on
The times it wouldn't start initiative.
yes. Like if it's just a lonely single person that you know that you could just kill anyway, and you say, well, I want to use a start initiative. Like, what do you mean? You're not going to start initiative. You're going to kill him. And then you're just going to reset it because you can go to the next person, right? Like, so for me, there are times in which I would allow it, right? If you were in like one of those build up conversations with like the BBEG or someone you know is a bad guy, and you're in one of those pre-battle conversations, initiative hasn't rolled yet, you're pretty sure you guys are going to fight, you know, like you guys have been talking and then all of a sudden like his guards come in and like the conversation starts to go like, so it seems that you find yourself in a predicament, you know, like they're trying to talk, but you kind of get the vibe like there's going to be a fight. Again, cinematically, if you were the character and you were just like, we're pretty, like I feel like he wants to fight. Like I'm seeing everything that's happening. I see the archers, you know, getting in position. If this is gonna go down, I'm not gonna go down without something. So I'm just gonna grip my sword and let him know. You know, like if you were to essentially initiate combat, you know, initiative without initiating combat, yes, you could use this as your preemptive strike. But again, it has to fit with the idea that your actions up until this aren't stealthy. You can't just walk up behind someone and say, initiative, and then slice them with 10, you know, 2d10. If you're in that mode and you make an action, like you grab that sword, you know, do that cinematic moment of just like, oh, I guess we are here today. Then you say, okay, now I activate this to initiate combat, then fine. That's a good lead up. But if you're just in front of guards and you and the party are like, we want to start this fight, we're going to fight these guards, but there's no real tension and you just walk up to the guard and go, hey, and then try to do this. No, like that's abusive, right? You're just trying to get a free attack, and that's not what this is designed for. So again, with High Point, I just look at what is the feature designed for. It's all about the is intended, not necessarily as written, right? I like intention. So when I read something like this, there are caveats. There are times when, yes, this is going to become combat, and it is a great time for you to use this to initiate combat. But you can't just do it when there's no other reason, because, again, it's just one of those, like, I don't feel like that's in the spirit of it, and then it just becomes abusive. And at that point, you know, what was it? Oh, I forget what his name was. I just got reminded, but someone who used to make games back in like the 80s and 90s was quoted as saying, gamers will always optimize the fun out of games. And I remember I heard that again today, and I'm just like, you know what? That is 5th edition in a nutshell. Players have optimized the fun out of it. And that's what I mean by this, is I will allow caveats, but I would shut down abuses, because if you're not if you're not incorporating the ability into the moment, then you just are looking at it going, well, it does this and it says I can do this, so I want to do this. And it's like, that's if we're just playing that game, we might as well be playing a video game, right? We're not playing RPGs. We're playing a tabletop. We're playing a tabletop, but we're not playing an RPG. Because what you care about is the mechanical abilities, not what it means in the moment. How does it change the story? So that's why I stopped calling High Point D&D, because D&D has turned much more into a mechanical based game, whereas I still want everything to tie into the story.
Sure. Okay.
All right, well, let's see if we can still get through the rest of these, because we got 2 other classes and we're only at level 7, but these are pretty small. So, all right, so at level 7, we get Rolling Thunder. Okay, so yeah, we get to crit at 19, and we can do a sheath draw to get double damage at the beginning of initiative. 100%, I'm cool with that. I like it as a good balance. It's a great ability. I think that could also be its own feat.
Like us, you could even say combat initiative.
Yeah,
because we have initiative outside of combat. So,
Rolling Thunder 7th level. You learn to chain your katana attacks in a sweeping dance of steel. This feels like Ghost of Tsushima. Now all of a sudden,
right?
When you take the attack no man, one of these abilities should have been like aggro ability, to where you can like kind of like, you know, the barbarian, where you can make someone only attack you. Kind of like you do a duel kind of thing, where you can like do a duel and just be like, hey. Oh, what about that? What if that, like at 10th level, you could like initiate a duel before initiative, or at the start of initiative, you can initiate a duel, and only you and that creature can attack each other, or you're compelled to attack each other.
I want to see the wording of the spell compelled duel, because if there was like a class feature that basically, it wasn't like, it's not like you're casting a spell, but like basically you have the ability of compelled duel, I think that would be sick.
Yeah. All right, so you can change your katanas when you take the attack action on your turn and reduce a creature to 0 hit points with a katana attack. You can immediately move up to 10 feet and make an additional katana attack against a different target within your reach. If this extra attack also reduces the creature to 0 hit points, you regain 1 expended resolve point up to your maximum. So it looks like you can only do 1, but you get the extra resolve if you also do the second kill, but it doesn't look like you can continue to chain it after that. So it's only 2 strikes.
So it says when you take the attack action, reduces 0 hit points, you can immediately move up to 10 additional. If this extra attack also reduces, so it doesn't take any resolve to do so.
No, but it doesn't mean you can do a third one. It just means you can do the 2, but if you get 2 downs, you get your resolve back.
But why wouldn't you be able to do the third one?
Because it's only when you take the attack action, it's only giving you 1 extra attack, but that extra attack isn't the attack action, right? Like, it's not actual action economy, it's a bonus attack.
But what would stop this from triggering the second time? Like, if it says if this extra attack reduces a creature to 0 hit points, why wouldn't it also trigger the same chain?
For me, it's because I don't look at like the bonus of if you down a creature and you get the extra attack, it's not replacing, it's not giving you like a whole other attack action like, you know, second wind or like action surge, right? It's not like an extra attack action, it's an extra attack.
Correct. Correct.
So I don't look at it as an act because it says when you take the attack action, not when you attack a creature. That's why I think it matters.
Right, but theoretically, you've already taken the attack action.
Yes, and if that, so you take the attack action, and if that attack downs a creature, you get an extra attack, but not an extra attack action. That's the way that I describe the verbiage, is because the attack action is what your character can do. It's not giving you an extra one. Like Action Surge gives you a whole extra attack action.
And I think
this is just more like an extra swing.
Because the way I read this is it says when you take the attack action on your turn, but it doesn't say when that attack reduces them to 0 hit points. It says when you take the attack action and reduce a creature. So
yeah, it's that. So meaning that attack.
Reduce them to 0 hit points. What?
But yeah, so you take the attack action and reduce them to 0. So that attack would be the one that reduces it because it's and reduces them to 0 with that.
See, okay, then that's where I read that differently. I read that as 2 separate things. It's like, okay, I take the attack action on my turn, and on my turn, I reduce a creature to 0 hit points. I wasn't thinking of it as that specific attack that you take, because theoretically, the attack action contains multiple attacks in it. So if I am a fighter and I have 5 attacks, I take the attack action, I take my first attack and miss, I take my second attack and miss. Do I no longer have the ability to proc this because the very first attack missed? Or do any of the attacks within the attack action have the ability to trigger this?
Yeah, if the attack action has multiple attacks within the attack action, then again, as long as there are katana attacks, remember this procs on katana attacks within that attack action. So any of the attacks that are part of that attack action can proc the extra attack, but that doesn't give you another attack action. It only gives you another attack within that same attack action. So if the extra attack reduces their hit points to 0, it's not resetting this ability. The ability is already procced.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I have 5 attacks in my turn. I have 4 targets in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
My first attack in my attack action downs somebody.
Yeah.
My second attack in my attack action downs somebody. Does it trigger twice? They're both attacks within my attack action.
No, that second attack would be either I guess it would depend on if the DM requires you to choose when you're an extra attack, but I would always assume your extra attack happens immediately after it procs, right? So whether it's your first attack,
even if it does happen immediately after.
That's what I say. So whether it's your first attack or your last attack, the follow-up, the immediate next attack would be this extra attack. And if that one went to 0, you'd gain the resolve. But then this ability is over, because you're still in the same attack action. So this ability is now procced for this turn. Only the one time, and you get the ability.
It doesn't say this can only proc once per turn. Like, if it said that, I would 100% agree with you. But, like, for right now, like, even if I did that extra attack, like, there would be nothing saying that any of the other 5 attacks that I do in my turn wouldn't proc this. There's no wording in here that says, hey, this can't proc on any of your other weapon attacks.
I mean, I don't think it needs to, but that would be up to Hecate to validate one way or the other. Because I have not seen ones
I don't
that
think it needs to.
I think the idea is that when you take the attack action, you get one ability of this. That's how I read it. I get you get one extra attack, not every single time. That's just if I would assume that it was like when you take the attack action, anytime you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you can immediately make an additional attack. That's how I would have assumed that would read if it's every single attack. But when I look at this, it's I'm going to take the attack action, and at any point, if I reduce someone to 0, I'll get one extra attack, just the one. And if that one happens to reduce someone to 0, I'll proc a regen. That's it. That's how I personally read it. But it will depend on whether Hecate confirms what you're thinking, which is if I have 3 attacks on my attack action and all 3 reduce someone to 0, do I get 3 more attacks? That's where you read it. I think it's only a 4th.
Especially the way the intro is worded, where you're chaining together sweeping attacks. Like, that gives me that vibe.
Right. And that's where I would expect the verbiage to specify that it's not just a one single extra attack on this attack action. It's going to be any attack that you'd make. I would expect the verbiage to be more specific when it's to any specific attack or all attacks, right? It does say chain, but I would expect it to specify that you can go beyond just the one. Because the second attack has this extra ability.
I would think it would be like general over specific, right? So if it's general, it's like, okay, I can do it unless it tells me I can't. Right? Like, I think that's generally speaking how most rules lawyers are trying to read things. It's like, oh, it doesn't say you can't do that, so I can do that. And, I think that's why they try to put a lot of that specific verbiage in there to let you know, oh, that's not how this works. And here's why, because it specifically says you can't do that.
Well, what does Hecate say? Hecate has not verified either direction. So I think it could use better verbiage either way. I think just specifying a little bit more how far it can chain. And if it is like that, I would at least suggest a cap to the amount of chains, at least this early, right? Like maybe be able to level it up, but at least start it at like, you could chain this up to 3 times and then go up from there.
So we'll say because of what this is, unless you multi-class into fighter, right now they only get extra attack at level 5. So right now they only have 2 attacks in their attack action, right? So it would theoretically only be the 2. Hecate, what's going on, bud? So
yeah,
here's the clarification Vortex and I are looking for. For your Rolling Thunder on the 7th level, you say that you can chain together these katana attacks. So the question becomes, say if you get extra attack by this point. So I have 2 attacks within my attack action. If I down somebody with my first attack, I get an extra attack. If I down somebody with my second attack, do I also get an extra attack? So making a total of 4 attacks that turn. Is that how it would work? Or does this particular ability only proc once per turn? So the first time that I down somebody with one of my attack action attacks using this katana, I can get this extra attack, and so it's only the one that's added to it.
That's a good summary.
Because
really the verbiage just needs to clarify that. Like that's I think the only thing that I would like clarified because of the way that extra attack works and all of that. I just want to figure out if I have multiple attacks on my turn, is this allowing me to double my attacks if I am down? Like imagine a room full of minions, right? If I have 3 attacks, does this mean I have 6? If I have 2 attacks, does it mean I have 4? If I had 5 attacks, does it mean I have 10? Because again, assuming minions are going to die in one hit, that was the clarification I'm looking for, is just figure out how far does the stacking go? Because it's like, again, if I have 3 hits and I hit, kill, then get an extra attack, then get a resolve point. Then I go to my second main attack, hit, kill, get an extra attack, get a resolve point. Then I go to my third main attack, hit, kill, get a resolve. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I feel it just doesn't make sense to continuously stack it, because those aren't specifically chaining off of each other. This one is I down someone, I move, I down another person, but then my next attack wouldn't necessarily be a move and down, right? So Hecate. So yeah, it's only an action, an attack action, extra attack is basically, wait, hold on. So it's only on an attack action. Extra attack is basically 2 attack actions. So, but Hecate,
so I hear what he's saying. So the answer is you're correct, Vortex. You are correct. So he's saying that when you get extra attack, he's classifying that as a completely new attack. So when you take the attack action, you get 2 attacks, right?
Oh, because right now we have multi-attack. That's what you're saying. Right now at level 7 we would have multi-attack. So the attack action has 2 attacks within it.
Has 2 attacks within it. But what Hecate is trying to say is it's only on a singular attack. So one of them will, like, he's calling the attack action
when you roll for when you roll to attack. That is the attack action, not the phase. Because he says it's on an attack action and it's basically 2 attacks, but again, how does that differ from when you say like you have multi-attack? Is it every time I attack, or is it only once per?
If each one's its own attack action,
then you would be right. Then it would double every attack.
Yeah, maybe.
So Hecate. So if I have 3 attacks in a turn.
Oh, he says yes. So I could basically do 4 attacks in a turn.
Okay. So it is anytime you attack with your katana. So that's how I would change this verbiage then, just to clean it up and say, you learn a chain attacks in a sweeping dance of steel. When you attack with your katana and reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you can immediately move up to 10 feet and make 1 additional katana attack against a different target. This extra attack reduces hit points to 0. You regain a resolve point and can move another 10 feet and make another attack. That's all it has to say. And then you see the infinite loop, because all it has to say is it's instead of the attack action on your turn with a katana. No, just say when you attack with your katana and reduce a creature to 0, you can make an extra attack. If this extra attack reduces it to 0, regain the resolve and then make another extra attack. Like that's all I would say would make it perfect.
So my only question on this would be, I love that verbiage if it includes attacks of opportunity.
I don't know. I personally don't know if it should.
It's a reaction, not an action. It's a reaction, not an action. If it excludes that, just basically say this does not proc on attacks of opportunity.
Oh, okay. That's what. Yeah, I thought you wanted it to. No, I agree. It should not proc on attack of opportunity.
Because the way you worded it, it would have.
Yes. No, I agree with you. Yeah. So I would add that verbiage. Yeah. Okay. And I would also say if it is what Hecate says. Now, because we're. Oh, actually, wait a minute. No. Okay. Actually, this is actually not that bad. Because again, my concern of the chaining was that I think what I was misinterpreting from you is not how many individual of my attacks get to proc it. I think my concern was that this extra attack becomes an attack action. Therefore, if this extra attack downs someone, do I get a third extra attack? That's, I think, where my main concern was, not necessarily each of my main attacks get one. So with clever enough planning, you could, I guess, chain technically up to 6 targets, because you could kill, move, and kill. And then your next attack, because you have 3 attacks, you could kill if you happen to have another creature there, then move, and you know what I mean? Like, so if you had enough creatures in line, you technically could, but you would still have to make 3 main attacks before your extra attack. So it's not, I don't think it's actually that bad. I think it works. I think even with multi-attack, if every time it happens, you know, again, when's the likelihood that you're going to be dropping that many enemies down to 0 multiple times?
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, I think this is more, yes, it'll increase your DPS, but like, I don't necessarily think that the additional resolve point is going to proc the most. What I think will proc the most is the chain. So what I think is likely going to happen is I do an attack that downs somebody, and then once I do an attack that downs somebody, then I move 10 feet and I attack somebody else and I do damage. Then my next main attack probably downs them. And then I get to move another 10 feet and do another bonus attack, and I usually end there. Like that's the chain that I can see happening most likely, is because it's going to take like a hit, maybe two, to actually down somebody.
Oh, I just actually thought of a really cool, extremely unlikely scenario that this would look the most badass, especially tying in the first ability with draw. It's unlikely as hell, but imagine before the BBEG fight, you get yourself in a situation where, like, you're going to come face to face with the BBEG. And you taunt him enough to where you get him to finally react. And what he does is he like summons like three of his, smaller minions. Not necessarily minions at 1 HP, but just three, creatures. And he surrounds you. So it's like you're face to face with the BBEG. Then you got an enemy on each of your left and right, and then an enemy behind you. And then what you do is you just like, you have that situation to just be like, oh, the exact situation I wanted to be in. So you use the draw technique against the BBEG, get the double damage. Then initiative starts. Hopefully on your turn, now that you're surrounded, you attack the person to your left. If you down them, then you use your extra attack against the BBEG. Then you use your second attack to down the person to your right, and then switch to the BBG, because you don't have to move. So you could, if you had minions around you, you could just slash the guy behind you, and then turn around and slash the BBG again in a whirlwind of just, you know what I mean? Like, that would be extremely satisfying, but so unlikely to actually get put into that situation unless your DM wanted you to have that moment.
You know what I want? I want the capstone ability to basically, at the very least, give you the thing that you were talking about. This can proc even on the Rolling Thunder attack. Even on the extra attack that ability gives you, it procs on that. So like, and I would love it if it didn't have to necessarily down them to proc. But like, say if you did a certain amount of damage, say if you did at least, 10 or 15 points of damage on that particular hit, then...
Or what if the capstone was Rolling Thunder only requires to hit, to chain? So instead of dropping it to 0, it's when you make an attack with your katana, if it hits, you can move up to 10 feet and attack another target. If it hits, you can move up, and you don't proc opportunity attacks doing this. So you could just weave in between targets and then you could just add in, like, you can't use this against a target you've already hit this round. So you can't do an infinite circle.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Dude, that would be kind of clean.
Yeah.
There'd have to be a lot of enemies for it to be really good, but that'd be kind of clean.
All right, moving up to 10th level, 1 mind, 1 blade. Your focus is now unbreakable. Steadfast will, once per short or long rest. You fail a saving throw. When you fail a saving throw against being charmed or frightened, you can choose to succeed instead. Not bad. I guess charmed or frightened, I guess that is kind of common, so pretty good.
Yeah.
When a creature... Huh?
I think it's kind of similar to a monk ability that you get. So I like that.
When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack with your katana against that creature. I like that. Excuse me. I do like that actually a lot. Being able to do a counterattack is, I think, sorely missed as a regular feat. So yeah, that's great. I don't know about the name. 1 mind, 1 blade didn't really vibe necessarily. But
I get the mind and succeeding against charmed or frightened. And then
honestly, like, again, just something that I would pull out for high point and just pull out for like more of a narrative thing. I don't even mind that instead of steadfast will, like, yes, I don't mind the once per long rest, you can just succeed something instead. But I also wouldn't mind that to be like, whenever you are holding your blade, you have advantage against these, or they have disadvantage against you, right? Or you have advantage on your saving throw.
Like if your blade is unsheathed.
Yes, like we 1 mind, 1 blade. When your blade's out, you are so focused and resolved that the world's gone. You can't be charmed or frightened, because once you're, again, think about Ryuromi Kenshin. He's chill, but the moment the blade has been unsheathed, we're done. You're done. He has decided.
It's game over.
So that could be an alternative that I really like is that it being tied to whether or not, because then you still have the regular ability outside of combat, but during combat you're not frightened. You can't be frightened. You could look down your nightmare, and as long as your blade's out, you know you're good. There's just, I think there's something to that.
My reflection.
Yeah,
I keep myself grounded.
but I do like that, and I like the counterattack, so totally fine with those.
Oh, stillness of mind is what monks get. They can just use their action to end an effect that's causing them to be charmed or frightened. I can get charmed or frightened, but I can also just end it if I feel like it.
Yeah. So yeah, I like the idea of the unbreakable will, but I kind of wish it was more tied to like when your blade's out.
For sure. I do like that idea. That's a very cool idea though.
And then at 14th level, we have Perfect Cut. Your swordsmanship transcends mortal limits. Your katana attacks ignore resistance to slashing damage. If a creature is immune to slashing damage, instead treat it as resistant. Beautiful. Fucking beautiful. Love it. I'm actually really surprised that way it hasn't been able to, we haven't gotten one that treats your weapon like a magic weapon. Like your katana is treated as a magical weapon. For overcoming resistance.
Is that in the base class? Is that the base class?
Maybe.
Something in the base class that gives you that?
Maybe. That may have been there.
I really totally think that should happen.
But this is cool. I really like that though, being able to ignore slashing resistance.
I think that's so cool. Do you think it would be too much to make it across the board?
What do you mean?
Meaning a step down all the way. Like if
resistance becomes vulnerable.
If you're resistant, you're normal. If you're normal, you're vulnerable.
Yes, I think that's fine. I don't think there's any if you're already taking immune down to resistant, 100% everything should be taken down. If you're going that far, 100% do that.
I think that would be so cool, because then imagine things that aren't resistant, you just get to like thread them.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Again, it transcends mortal limits. If you're fighting a regular mortal, it literally should just be mind-boggling how bad it is. So yes, I agree with you.
And then you know what's crazy? You don't even need a magic weapon at that point.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yes, exactly.
It's a mundane, like that's actually, I'm not gonna lie, that's actually so
It's more about your swordsmanship than it is the weapon you hold.
Yes, it's so much cooler than getting a magic weapon. Like this mundane weapon, I don't care. Like, yo, at this point, okay. Would you put a limit on it to say something like it can't cut through something that's intangible? Like a ghost.
I honestly wouldn't mind if the, especially because now that I see that 18th level says Sword Saint, I would not mind if Sword Saint said Perfect Cut can now cut through incorporeal creatures, such as ghosts. I would totally be okay with that as a capstone. Not at level 14, but yes, at level 18, you should upgrade Perfect Cut to being able to cut ghosts. I'd be down for it, 100%.
That would be dirty. And then you're walking around with a regular ass sword, and everybody's like, "Yo, how are you doing this? How are you what you are?" They try and steal your sword from you. Nah, bro, that's just a sword, dog.
Right?
It's me, bro. Like, okay, yes. This is the vibes that I want. This is it, Hecate. This is it right here.
Honestly, I would also go one step further too as a DM and give them the non-lethal option if they wanted to choose this class, where if they were like, hey, I don't necessarily always want to like be lethal, I would totally let them carry around like a boken and use it as non-lethal, like default. So it does all the same things that this does, but it would turn into bludgeoning, not slashing.
Okay.
But everything else would work. They'd still get to use it as a katana with all the same benefits, but it would just, it would go into bludgeoning, but it would also be non-lethal. Like it would just be a default non-lethal weapon. And then they have their katana next to it that they could unsheath. Ooh, have them build one of those where the boken is the katana's sheath. No one ever knows.
Ooh, yes.
Everyone thinks that they just always carry around like a wooden sword, and then one day when you just piss them off, it's like you just hear them go click.
Oh, that would be so dirty.
Anyway, I like that. But yeah, I would make that one a little bit more powerful. All right, so Sword Saint, again, I would make this the perfect cut going to ghosts here, but let's see, at level 18, Sword Saint, finally, you become the epitome of sword mastery. As an action, choose one creature you can see. For 1 minute, your attacks against that creature deal an additional 1d10 damage. That creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. This effect ends early if you are incapacitated, or if either of you or the target drops to 0 hit points. You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. I don't mind this. It's not the capstone I was hoping for. However, I would like to say that I would love to now introduce the compelled duel feat, like what you were saying, a different name, use it under a different name. But like call it like duel master or duel instigator or something. But this is where you would say that at level 18, like either as an action or at the start of initiative. I kind of like, calling back to that other ability that started at initiative, right? So I would say change the Sword Saint to something like at the start of initiative, choose a creature you can see. For the next minute, you and that creature are locked in combat. You cannot take actions against other creatures, including allies, and neither can it.
I like this so much more. I like this so much more because that feels like the spirit of a samurai. It's like, you're my opponent and I'm going to take you down. And you and I were, yes, I'm so here for that.
And you know what I wouldn't even mind? I wouldn't even mind that if any other of your allies, like you can even say, this gives allies, like any attacks on this creature by other creatures have advantage. However, you should lose resolve points because they're stepping into your duel. Like,
I'm almost like, I'm gonna give them disadvantage. I'm gonna stop you from stepping out on my fight. This is my fight, dog. You can't.
Okay, or that. Oh, how about this? Like,
honor,
what? So it would be more interesting too. Is like if it were a choice. If your player or if your allies attack your target, during this duel, they have advantage on attacks, but you lose 2 resolve for every successful attack. Or you can alternatively choose to spend 1 resolve and give them disadvantage. Or, something along those lines of being able to basically like...
Tell me what you think about this. Because here's how I honestly think it should work. First of all, I think, especially for what this is, especially because it's a capstone, having it only work on 1 target and it ends after that target dies, I'm like, let it last for the whole minute. Just like with something like Hunter's Mark. If the target that I have targeted with Hunter's Mark dies,
The only downside to this is if it's the BBEG fight and you lock the BBG in a duel for a minute. But again, maybe that's the benefit, right? Maybe that's the idea is everyone else gets to wail on it.
But what I mean is, I think you should be, if the target dies, I think you should be able to move it to a new target. If you still have time left. If you still have time on your minute.
Oh, within the same minute, you mean? Okay.
Yes, within the same minute. If you have time left on your minute, you should be able to move it to a new target. I think the way this should work is all allies have disadvantage. Like if I'm locked in melee combat with this thing, all allies have disadvantage attacking my target.
Okay.
Unless I end it early. The second one of my allies steps in, I can let them either have a normal attack or give them advantage on that one particular attack, but that ends this ability. That's saying,
gotcha.
Right, I'm letting somebody else come in. This is no longer the one-on-one. This is no longer our duel. This is now, we're going back to just a regular fight. Like, so this whole ability, this whole advantage that I get ends.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
Another cool thing too is like even if it was on an action instead of at the beginning of initiative, because like I like your idea of being able to change it. So what if it is as an action, you can engage in a duel, but the time frame is 1 round or 2 rounds for every resolve point spent. So you decide how long the duel ends. And then you can chain it if you kill them or end it early. But this way, because a minute's, again, think about the BBG fight. If you could lock the BBG into not attacking anybody on the team for a whole minute, there's some exploits there. But if you say I have 3 resolve points, that's 6 rounds. I'd be much more okay if there was an economy that you had to pay for that. Plus, I also wanted to mention too, in my mind, in this duel, you still get the additional 10 damage, by the way. In my mind, even though this is the initiation of like a duel, I still think during the duel you get the 10 damage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so, at least. And you know what? To be very honest,
Hi.
I wouldn't be mind if it was a flat 10, not a D10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
If it was a flat 10 and not a D10, it's like you get this much more damage. Like that feels good.
Yeah.
That feels good. Like if I just have another D10, like I get 2 D10, like that's cool, but no, I get 10 more damage on every single one of my attacks.
Yeah. And honestly, I would, again, if it wasn't for a minute and there was some sort of like action, there's some sort of economy to how long, or like, you know, you have a number of rounds equal to your proficiency modifier every long rest. So when you activate this, you can activate it for a number of rounds equal to your proficiency modifier per long rest. So I can either lock someone down for 6 rounds or lock them down for 1 round or lock them down for 2 rounds, right? Just a way to get their attention off somebody else, kind of like an aggro. And then you can get rid of the, you can only use this once until you finish a long rest. Because right now you'd only be able to do it, you know, well, because as an action, choose one creature, this effect ends, but then you can only use it once. So I would prefer to be able to use it more than once, you know, like over and over. So I do like the idea though. I think the idea of locking someone in to a fight is really cool. But this extra hunter's mark, I don't know. It doesn't seem to fit as much of the vibe, but I do think it's onto something here. All right. Well, we got 2 more to go, so let's try to focus on those ones. I like this one. I think this one's great for a fighter type subclass. I think there's a couple of things that can get benefited from. I think there's a lot of good ideas here, so I'm going to give this one a solid 8 out of 10. I would very much use a lot of similar things, but there are a few changes I would make. But otherwise, absolutely solid. This would be a lot of fun to play, and I think this could fit again in most games. I don't think that this is a problem for any kind of setting to have.
Absolutely. Amazing.
All right, so that was the sword and katana specialist. Let's move on to our spear and glaive specialist. This is the Sojutsu defender. And the description for this one is stand firm, hold the line, let none pass.
Oh, we love that.
Okay. So I do like that we're getting more defensive and not just all offensive characters here. So I wonder if that means that the archer is going to be more of a support and not just ranged.
That's a good.
All
question.
right.
That's a good question.
Let's take a look. So at 3rd level, we get reach and react. Okay, you gain proficiency with woodcarver's tools if you don't already have it. When wielding a spear, see, I understood the blacksmith for the samurai. I'm not really understanding what the woodcarver for the pikeman is, unless for the staff.
I mean, you could definitely say that. Again, like when I think of giving proficiency with a certain tool set in your subclass, like I get the novelty of it, but I really feel like there should be a use.
Yeah.
Right? Like
blacksmith makes sense for a katana.
Like I can sharpen my blade, I can care for my blade, but I would love, like, if you spend a night sharpening your blade, it does like +1, it does 1 additional damage.
Yeah. And Hecate, I'd guessed it right. It is because the pole arm is usually wood, so the shaft, you have to be able to take care of your shaft. Always take care of the shaft.
Valid. Gotta take care of the shaft.
Okay.
Before you get shafted.
All right, so when wielding a spear that normally lacks the reach property, okay, I guess there are small enough spears, it gains the reach property. If you wield a glaive, which already has reach, it remains at 10 feet. So it only gives non-reach spears reach. Additionally, whenever a creature enters your reach, you can use your reaction to make 1 melee weapon attack against it. Oh, so it's like a reverse attack of opportunity.
This is lightweight the feat Polar Master. Because that's what Polar Master says. When someone enters your range at 10 feet, you can do an attack of opportunity.
Nice. Okay, so this gives you basically that as part of the feature, as part of the actual class feature, which is not bad. So it gives you reach, and then it lets you have that feat for free. Not too bad. Okay. Let's see. Brace and guard at so let's see here. So hang on a second. So that's identical to the feat that you could get.
Let me see if it's identical.
Because now I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, is that even worth it? Because if it's something that I can choose, is it worth getting it in, you know, you know what I mean? Like, should it be something I could get otherwise?
What did I say? It's Polar Master? Yeah, Polar Master. Okay. It says, when you are wielding a glaive, other creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they enter your reach. That's basically the same thing. The other thing it says is when you take the attack action with only a glaive, blah, 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 to make an attack with the opposite end, this uses the same ability modifiers to prime range. Oh, so this is just basically saying I can make a bonus action attack with the butt. That's the other thing Polar Master gives you that this doesn't.
Okay, and this also, I'm assuming that with the way this reads, you get this ability with spear and glaive, not just glaive.
Because
the glaive gets the ability to do the attack of opportunity when they enter, but not necessarily the spear. Or is that just the feat? The feat does it regardless.
So the feat, it works on a glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spear.
Oh, okay. So this is, yeah. So I would just say, like, have this do something a little bit different than the feat that I could collect, because now it kind of makes that feat unnecessary to take. While that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's like, should I get something that I couldn't get otherwise? Is always my mentality when building a subclass, or just, again, something unique. It's like, I could have got this in a different way, so why get it as something, you know, that I'm just being given, right? Like, I'd like something a little extra.
I agree. Especially because the only other thing that you get, like, because I feel like spear, I can't think of any spear that's not reach.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. The feat is good, but having different feet that would help it better than having the feet for this one.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think of like
spears just don't have reach. Is that really the case? Spears don't have reach?
Interesting.
Yeah, glaives have reach, but spears don't. Weird. What about javelins? Or what was the other thing that we saw on there? Quarterstaff, halberd.
Okay. Well, let's see what else we can get.
Okay. Weird. Really weird.
All right. I feel like I could do a little bit more, because I feel like all it's really doing is giving us spear's reach right now, and I feel like there could be more to it.
The feat is good, but having different feet would help if better than having to get the feet. Okay, so this is basically because if you're going to choose like a spear-based subclass, it's almost a given to get a feat like this. And traditionally spears don't have reach, which is, I think, basically what this is saying. It's like, not only can you have reach, but I'm also going to give you the
free feat that you're already going to take.
That you're already going to want to take, so you don't have to waste a feat getting it. So like, I can see that benefit to a certain extent. So you could like use that for something else or whatever the case may be.
I mean, to be honest, in that case, I then what I would do is I would just block it out differently. Because I think it would make more sense to just say at 3rd level you gain proficiency in wood carving tools, spears now have reach, like I don't know, maybe 5th edition would have a problem with this kind of verbiage, but I wouldn't even mind it if you you take the Polar Master feat.
It just says that you just
like, yeah, you gain the Polar Master feat if you don't already have it. Kind of like how, again, you gain Woodcarver's tools if you don't already have it. Why not just say at this level you gain that feat if you don't already have it for free? I'd much rather just be cleaner that way, because then then it is exactly what it is. It is giving you a free feat.
Yeah.
You might as well just give you the free feat, because again, if this is a pole arm subclass, again, like you said, it kind of makes sense that boom, you get this feat right out the gate. You know what I mean? So being able to say you now have this for free when you choose a subclass.
And that is true, Hecate. But if the idea is to give you this feat, or give you basically the same thing as a feat, so that you don't have to take this feat, like it's almost the same effect as giving them a free feat, right?
Yeah, and I think it'd just be easier to say it that way, because I think
attack,
I think everybody would just immediately be able to see that, right? So I get woodcarver's tools, spears now have reach. Oh, and I get a free feat starting at 3rd level. I think it would just read cleaner, and it would still give everything that you're asking for, and it would just be a lot more digestible, right? Just quick, out of the way.
And plus, plenty of DMs are using optional rules that give people feats at character creation and stuff. Like I see it all the time, because a lot of times people feel like their characters don't feel complete without it. So
and realistically, spellcasters get additional spells that aren't part of their limit. So why can't other sometimes get a free feat that's not part of the normal feat limit?
That is true. New 2024 stuff. They get a lot of feats. Like they get them from weird places. I don't really understand it yet.
Well, and again, that's why I think it would even be even better to clean up the language and basically just say you have this feat right out the gate. Because again, it just, everyone knows that feat, they know what it gives, and it would just, I think it would be a little bit cleaner. Plus, if you're gonna give them everything but a little bit of it, it still might make people hesitant to not take the feat, even though it's not going to do anything except for that one little thing that's missing.
Sure.
So just throwing it out there. That would be my approach. Is I don't think there's any problem with just saying, hey, you also get this feat early, or you have the ability to do these things as if you knew this feat, kind of, but yeah, so we go up to 7th level. We get now Brace and Guard. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 resolve point to adopt a defensive stance with your polearm until the start of your next turn. Or until the start of your next turn, attack rolls against allies within 5 feet of you have disadvantage because you intercept blows. If a creature hits an ally within 5 feet of you, you can make a melee attack against that creature as a reaction if it's within your reach. I like that. You get to counter attacks against your allies, and you incorporate disadvantage.
So hold on, let me check.
And it's not rolls against you, it's only rolls against your allies, so it does kind of put you at the focus.
Provoke object attacks from you even if they disengage. When a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against a target other than you. Interesting. So this is a small portion of the Sentinel feat.
It sounded similar.
But attack rolls against allies within 5 feet of you, and if a creature hits an ally within 5 feet of you. So I think that language might need to be cleaned up a little bit, because, well, first, so if a creature hits an ally within 5 feet of you, you can make a melee attack. Like, what if they're shooting a bow at them?
Well, it says if it's within your reach. That's how it ends.
Okay. If it's within, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I definitely love the defense. Defensive stance until they. So, what is the defensive stance? Is that basically Is the defensive stance what's described below? Is that what we're saying?
I'm assuming. I think you have to spend a resolve point and a bonus action to initiate this. So there's 2 action economies in order to have this until the start of your next turn.
Okay.
And it lasts the entire time. Now you only get 1 reaction, but they will get the disadvantage for the rest of the round. So that's where it has to cost a bonus action and a resolve point, and then until your next turn, they are going to get the disadvantage bonus.
Okay.
I like it. I think it works.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I like it.
I wouldn't mind, throw this out there, because I want this to be more defensive. I would not mind if there's one more sentence here that says, because it says, if a creature hits an ally within 5 feet of you, you can make a melee attack against that creature as a reaction if it's within your reach. I'd like one more note here that says, if you did not use your action on your turn, you may also use your action in this case. So basically giving you 2 abilities to do that. Because you only get 1 reaction per round, right? So if I activate this on my turn and 2 initiatives later, my ally gets hit, I can bonk the enemy. But that's it. Even though my allies still get me defending them until the start of my next turn, I only get 1 bonk. I wouldn't mind if this said, if you did not use your action this round, you can use your action as a reaction for this ability. So basically it gives me 2 times where I can bonk an enemy for hitting my allies.
Yeah.
But I have to choose not to use my attack action on my turn. So I have to not only use my bonus action and spend a resolve to defend my buddies, but then I have to choose not to attack someone just so I could use it as a reaction later.
Okay.
So it's kind of like delaying, basically delaying your action.
I do like that. I also think it would be cool that when you activate this, allies within 5 feet of you get a +1 to their AC.
Oh, maybe that's, what about, so bonus action and resolve to give them this stuff. What if you can use your action to give them a bonus to AC as well? So again, you don't attack, but you use your action to double down on their defense. Because you're holding your staff so defensively that you're not in a position to attack anymore.
Action, and is that also another resolve point to do that?
Maybe. That I would leave that up to Hecate, because I don't know exactly how powerful and how reserved resolve points are. But I like the idea of
up the addition to the AC if that were the case.
Okay, and I like the choice too. As a bonus action, you can spend one resolve point to enter the stance, and then as an action, you can spend additional resolve point to give them AC. So it's like you can do one or the other, but you can't give AC without doing the bonus action first, right? So you can activate it with the bonus action, then the action could add to it. That would be kind of cool.
Stance to give them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind adding more bonuses if you're giving more stuff up. As long as there's an easy way to word that. You just got to make sure that there's an easy way to put that into words. But either way, a defensive maneuver, spot on. That's fucking awesome.
Yes. I think that's so cool.
At 10th level, we get Warding Whirl. When you take the attack action, you can spend 2 resolve points to make a special spinning strike with your polearm. Each creature of your choice within your weapon's reach must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, they take your weapon's damage and are pushed 5 feet away. On a success, they take half damage and aren't pushed. I was kind of hoping prone, but push is fine. I would prefer prone.
Yeah, I think I agree. I like prone because of what it does for you, and I like prone because of like the type of weapon that you're using. I feel like prone just makes more sense. Like I'm gonna trip people rather than push somebody with a spear.
Yeah, especially in a whirling attack, but
yeah.
Either way though, I like it.
I understand the idea of pushing, because when you push, then they're a little bit further away from you, still within your reach, but outside of their reach, generally speaking. Because most melee is 5 feet reach, and if I can put you in my range, and potentially push somebody out of my range. So I'm assuming the sweep has the range of the polearm, right?
Yes. So you get your 10 feet
all the way around. right? So that means somebody who's 10 feet away from me gets pushed 5 more feet away from me. Now they're 15 feet away from me. Then when they enter into my range, boom, I get an attack of opportunity,
True.
right? So I love that little combo right there. I love that ability to do those things with it.
And
I think
Hecate wanted the
it's really
push
good.
for pushing them away from allies so they have a chance to get away. So more focus on the defense and not
Yep.
putting them at a disadvantage, but just keeping them at bay. So that makes sense. Man, I almost know at this point that makes me think of like doing one of those attacks where you know how with the staff you like swirl the staff to side by side just to make an area of like a zone clearance where people can't enter without getting slapped in the face.
So I'm not even gonna lie. I was just thinking about that. Like imagine, so imagine basically what you could do is instead of this like circular area around you where you're just doing a sweeping attack, imagine if I like set up my pole arm across in front of me and the 2 squares next to me and my square. So that's like a 15-foot wide area. And I just do this like charge attack and I rush and
Ooh,
in that area, I move them back like a certain amount or whatever the case may be. And I just like shove this group of people back, right?
I'd be down for that.
I think
That'd be cool.
I think it could be very cool.
Any again, those are those kind of things that I don't even need a feat for that. You can just do that in role play if the situation's right. You know what I mean? Like,
this is fair. This is fair. Yeah. These are,
okay, so this one's going to be interesting. 14th level, we get Immovable Warrior. When wielding a spear or glaive, you have advantage on saving throws and ability checks made to avoid or end the grappled or restrained condition and to resist being moved against your will or knocked prone. Okay. I like it. It totally makes sense. Additionally, while you are not prone and have not been moved against your will since the start of your last turn, you gain a +2 bonus to AC and to saving throws against attacks or effects made by creatures within your weapon's reach. If you successfully resist being moved, knocked prone, grappled, or restrained by a creature, you can immediately make a melee weapon attack against that creature if it's within your reach. Again, love the counter attack. I like that little bit at the end there. I don't know if it's just me.
Reaction. I like that.
Yeah, but you have to have successfully like saved. So yeah, it has a good trigger on it. But yeah, I do like it doesn't require another economy. Okay, so saving throws and ability checks made to avoid or end grappled, restrained, and resist being moved. Okay. I wish there was a better way. I know that's just the clunkiness of 5th edition's verbiage. I wish there was a better way to say that, but I get it.
Yeah.
But this next part, I feel like there's just got to be some cleanup. So it's like, while you are not prone and have not been moved against your will since the start of your last turn. So last turn, you can't have been moved.
Sure.
You have a +2 to AC and saving throws against attacks or effects. You get a +2 to AC and +2 to your saving throws from creatures that are within your range. I know this is at 14th level, but I don't know. It's weird to read, and I don't know if it's just the verbiage or if it's actually what it's doing, because it's basically saying as long as you're standing and haven't been moved, you get this bonus +2 to your AC at all times and to saving throws to anybody within your weapon's reach, so anything within 10 feet. And it only goes away if you've been moved or knocked prone. Like, it's the only 2 times it goes away. So it's a weird buff because you get this.
Here's what I would do, because I like that it says made by creatures within your weapon's reach. So I would change the saving throws, because generally speaking, you're not making a saving throw against an attack. I would basically say the saving throws that you're getting a +2 on are the same saving throws you have advantage against. Instead of all saving throws. You know what I'm saying? So like if a weapon says I have to make a constitution saving throw against being poisoned, this is not going to add a +2 to that. It will add a +2 if somebody tries to grapple me.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, I think that
if I try to do knocked prone.
Yeah. Okay. I think I like that.
And because you're right, this is basically a forever +2, unless somebody can get through that. And unless they know that's the only way to remove your +2, you just have a forever +2. But it only is effective to people within that reach. So anybody who's hitting you at ranged, anybody who's casting spells, anybody who's doing anything other than that, you don't get this automatic bonus. So you're like really, really good within this 10-foot bubble around you. But outside of that, you're just like everybody else. So, and I think that is a good place to put that. Like, good place to balance that out. So it's not like, oh, I'm this invincible thing. But if you want to come brawl with me, if you want to come get it within melee from me, good luck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that sounds a little better. I do keep liking the return to being able to do more attacks as a counter. I really like counterattacks.
Yeah,
so
this whole ability at 14th level synergizes so well. You are going to be a monster with anything that you go mess with, right?
Oh yeah.
But the second anyone overcomes something that you're trying to do, like they knock you prone or whatever, then that whole process starts over. So you just got to stay really good at it. Like, I think eventually it's going to go down, and eventually it'll kind of feel bad when it does, but it'll just be like, all right, let me get it back, and then you keep going. So I think this is kind of cool.
Feels like a true tank.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so our capstone, 18th level, Bulwark of Honor. Finally, as an action, you plant your spear or glaive into the ground, creating a rally point. Ooh, I love rally points. These things are great. Usually you only get these on like artifacts and stuff like that for story purposes. So for 1 minute, you and all allies within 30 feet gain temporary hit points equal to your samurai level plus your wisdom modifier. So 18 plus, potentially 5. Okay. That's great. I like that.
Sure.
Allies within 30 feet have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed. Cool. Your opportunity attacks with your spear or glaive deal an extra 2d10 damage. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until the finish long rest. So the only downside is if this requires me to have multiple weapons. Because if I'm planting my spear into the ground for a minute, unless this is just saying I stab it into the ground and then I bring it back out. But my envisionment is I stab it and it is now like a flag in the ground. But how do I attack with my spear or glaive for extra 2d10 if it's in the ground, providing this buff? It's, you know what I mean? Like I almost wish that there was like something, like I wouldn't even mind like while your spear is planted and you're within range, like you're within the 30 feet, you wield a spectral spear with equal stats. I wouldn't mind that, because then if you get pushed out, you still have a detriment, but there's a story behind why you can still attack. So it's like you stab it into the ground, and then as you walk away, you lift this spectral spear away from it. So you're still holding yours, but your actual physical ones.
I was thinking literally the opposite. I like stab it into the ground and I pull away, and a spectral spear is left in the ground, and I still have my glaive with me. Like, that's exactly what I was thinking, but I kind of get that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're using it at range, I guess if you're using spears as a ranged weapon, you would have multiples, but I feel like for polearm or glaive master, you usually just have the one main weapon. Like, again, unless you're throwing them, I usually would assume that you're only using like the primary weapon.
Most of the time I'm throwing javelins, not, I mean, you can throw spears. They do have the thrown property, but
yeah. So I guess that must be the idea. But yeah, I wouldn't mind just like not assuming that they're going to have multiple weapons. So again, just writing it off that you have a spectral spear. And man, at that point, because we also haven't seen the point of magical weapons, we could treat that as magical. You know what I mean? Like you could say that for that 1 minute in your thing, this is actually, an even more impressive, because it actually does the 2d10 extra damage. Bring back what we saw in the other samurai. So your opportunity, so this one with a spectral spear, your opportunity attacks with your spear do an extra 2d10. This spear does an extra 1d10 for the duration. And this one could do what the other katana does, which is anything that has immunity to piercing damage goes down a notch. Or I guess the archer would be piercing, so maybe this one would be bludgeoning. But you know what I mean? Like continue that theme. You know, that the capstone would bring down like another use of this. So that would be like another cool way to use this capstone during a fight, is plug that thing in and now your weapon's even more powerful. All right, cool. I like this one. I will say I'm not as much of a fan with this one as I am with the spear. I mean, with the katana. I kind of like the katana a little bit more. Maybe that's a little bit of bias. Maybe. I don't remember the katana using resolve points though.
There was something that gave you resolve points back, but I don't think much used the resolve points.
Yeah, you got resolve points, but I didn't see anything use resolve. So this one at least got to use resolve. Yeah, I really do like this one. There's only a few things I would change, but I do like the katana. I think it's a little bit more fleshed out. I think it's a little bit more full. I'll give this one a good 7. Like the other one was 8. I'm gonna give this one a solid 7.
Fire.
I feel like it's just behind. Like in terms of me wanting to use it and how I would adopt it, I'd adopt the katana first before I would adopt this.
Sure. Okay.
All right, and then we have our final one. We're only 2 hours 15, so we'll probably end at the 3 hour mark. That's fine. All right, last subclass, the Kyujutsu Marksman. This is the bow specialist with a description of 1 arrow, 1 life. My sight is clear, my aim is true. I'm curious if that's gonna uphold again, where if you down an enemy, or there's gonna be some crit, modifications. Like the idea of 1 arrow, 1 life makes me feel like we're really gonna get like a precision shot, maybe a called shot. Because that's another mechanic I really wish D&D would finalize, is called shots. Being able to like go for a head or a kneecap and actually change the trajectory of fights. Like I want more of that as a mechanic and less as a narrative device. But I digress.
For sure.
All right, so
APHB or DMG.
Yeah, seriously, that definitely needs to be in the DMG. All right, deadly aim at 3rd level. You gain proficiency with painter's supplies if you don't already have it. I wouldn't mind. Honestly, this one should have been like the herbalist kit or the poisoner's kit, because you're arrows. So I would assume being able to do poisons and stuff would have been more than painters. But I digress. Treat your Yumi Japanese longbow as a standard longbow, but with no disadvantage at long range. Okay, so this just has full range. It just has the entire range.
Oh shit! Hold on. What's the standard longbow range? I think 320. That's great.
Yeah, so no disadvantage. You just get the full length. When you hit with a ranged weapon attack using your Yumi, you deal an extra 1d6 damage. Okay, I get it. I get it. This particular. Now it is kind of specific to a weapon. So I do like that. It can be a little bit of a turnoff to some people, because they're like, what if I don't want to use that? But it's in brand, it's in theme. And again, because we're not trying to recreate the weapons, I kind of don't mind that this subclass is locked into this.
600 feet.
Oof, 600 feet with no disadvantage. Damn.
That means at 3rd level, I can do 12 damage to somebody at potentially more than 12 damage to somebody at 600 feet.
That's crazy.
With no disadvantage.
That's crazy. But how often are you really going to be able to abuse that? Like realistically, how often is that specific ability? I mean, granted, if your party abuses it, you could be well outside of combat, and you could just be sitting there tagging people from a mile away.
Yeah. Like, you do get multi-attack with a bow, right?
Yeah, so I guess... And it's an extra 1d6 each time, damn.
If like every single time, and if I wanted to multi-class into rogue and get some sneak attack, I'm gonna get my sneak attack plus this extra 1d6. I would like something, because the other ones give you very specific scenarios. Like with the katana, you only get the extra 1d10 on the first attack of combat, right?
Right.
At the very least, I could see this saying once per turn. instead of every attack.
Mm.
Right? Like, because the long range is kind of wild. Like, I'm still iffy on if I'm okay with that or not. But when it comes to the extra damage, I would say once per turn you get that extra
What if it
damage.
costs a resolve to get the extra damage? Like giving up the, like, it's okay to have the max distance, but the extra damage requires resolve. What if would that make it better?
No, I think the opposite would make it better. I think you should still do it once per turn. You get it, you get the extra damage free for every turn, but you have to use a resolve to remove the disadvantage. Oh my gosh, that's so much better.
Okay.
That solves all, like, all.
Use a resolve in order to get the max distance, but you always get
Yeah.
a 1d6. Oh, and the Hecate says it is once per turn. Oh, it does say once per turn when you hit with a range attack, you deal 1d6.
Oh, top tier, top tier. I would just say cost you a resolve point to remove the long distance. Because here's the deal: you're not going to be using that long distance the majority of the time, and if you are,
it should cost you. And I kind of like the idea. Again, that resolve is like you getting into the zone, having the eagle eye moment where you zoom in and like mentally you calculate it. Yeah, every bow in the middle of every shot in the middle of combat, I could see being a little bit much. But I do, yeah, I don't mind a resolve in order for you to just negate disadvantage. That I think that does seem a little bit more in line with how the samurai would feel. And again, it just sounds cool, right? You're just like, I resolve this shot. And then you just gone, and it's like, hell yeah, and then you crit on it, you know, without advantage, like that. I feel like that would make it just it would make it worth using. Plus, if I'm only going to get the 1d6 once per turn, like you said, if I don't want the person to just always be out of combat, because you could basically just say, I'm going to just trail behind by 600 meters at all times as long as I have line of sight, and then you're never going to be in combat. So in order to get around any players, I kind of like the, and again, the more resolve you have, if you really need to be that sniper, hey, use up the resolve. I don't care. As long as you have the economy for it, do it.
Hey,
cool.
I mean, I forget how much you get back on a short rest, but you get some back on a short rest. So, you know.
Yeah, I like it. I would love that to have that. All right, so moving on to 7th level, Fleet-footed Archer. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 resolve point to move without provoking opportunity attacks until the end of your turn. Additionally, you can make a ranged attack with your Yumi within 5 feet of a hostile creature without disadvantage. That's not too bad. Especially doing with a longbow. That's crazy talk. Oh, actually, I know something else. I would prefer to add to this. I don't know if I would swap out the 5 foot because it's a longbow, right? So it's like, but it still has some punch, right? So either way, regardless of the 5 foot movement, the fleet-footed archer makes me think I want something else. I want this to either replace or add on to the 5 foot without disadvantage, but I want the ability to be able to fire my bow from the prone position. As in, if I get knocked prone, like I could like basically wrap it in my feet, pull back, and like kind of like fire it, you know, almost like a like if I was like if I was like a like not a trebuchet, but like a ballista. You know what I mean? So it's like put the bow like on my feet and then pull back on the thing like while I'm on the ground, and still like just something along the lines of like being able to do it in a situation you normally wouldn't be able to, because that would be kind of cool to actually be able to fire a longbow from a laying down position.
So I was gonna attach a picture to Yumi, like a link to an image for a Yumi. These bows, have you seen what a Yumi looks like?
I think so. I think I'm familiar with it.
So the basically the top of the bow, like when you hold a normal bow, you hold it like in the middle, right?
Yeah.
You're basically holding this on like the lower third of the bow. So like there's a large portion of the unit above you as you're pulling. Now, I don't know how relevant that is to the firing of the bow, but I really, because theoretically ranged attacks against prone targets have disadvantaged. Melee attacks against prone targets have advantage.
Yeah.
So being able to go prone as an archer when you're far away from melee targets is so top tier. And
yeah,
I
And again, I know the Hecate says it's not often, but that's why I say it would be a nice little additive right here. Is just something different, right? You've never seen an archer be able to be prone and still fire, right?
sure.
I don't. I just feel like it wouldn't be bad to have that little bit of extra, because it's not game breaking, right? It's not going to be used all the time. But like you said, being able to go prone and be like a little sniper that other people had disadvantage, like against another archer, oof. And then imagine you can do that behind a bush, so you also have your prone with disadvantage, plus you have partial cover, but you still have perfect aim. And then you use a resolve point, and then can just hit. Like, I think there's some fun that could be had with that. But maybe that's also just a feat that should D&D should have, like a feat for archers that you can be prone and still fire.
That's fair. That's valid. And there's a bunch of archer feats that I think we should mess with a little bit more. But
yeah, I like this. I like the opportunity attack. I like the 5 feet. That's a great ability, especially that early on. Arrow rain at 10th level. As an action, you spend 2 resolve points to unleash a rapid volley of arrows. Choose a 20-foot radius area you can see within your bow's range. Make 1 ranged attack roll against each creature of your choice in that area, up to a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus, minimum 1. Resolve each attack separately.
What's the max of your choice? Up to a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus. So eventually I could do this to up to 6 creatures.
Yeah.
2 resolve points, unleash a volley of arrows. How let me go back and look at the main class. I want to see how many resolve points I'm gonna have at this point. Resolve points at level, was it level 10 that we're talking about?
Yeah.
I have 11 resolve points at level 10.
I want
to say
there's something I want to change about it.
I almost want to say you have to use a resolve point for every additional shot. So if you want to make 6 shots, you have to use 5 resolve points.
Oof.
I almost want to say that.
Or at least the first 3 are free. Maybe after the first 3. So if you want to make 6, you'd have to spend 3 instead of 5. Just that's a lot. But here's my other change too. Because it's a rain of arrows, I want to remove 1 ranged attack roll against each creature. I want to say choose a 20-foot radius that you can see. Make a number of ranged attack rolls against any number of creatures, right? So up to your thing. So if I want to rain 6 arrows down on 1 creature, I should be able to. I don't see why if there's only 2 creatures, but I have the ability to shoot 6 times, why am I only shooting twice? Just because there's only 2. I think I should be able to fire. I think just in general, as an action and 2 resolve points, I can fire up to my proficiency bonus in a 20-foot area. So whether there's 2 enemies, 3 enemies, 6 enemies, it doesn't matter. I can only fire so many arrows, but I can't go like, oh, there's an enemy 120 feet over there, there's an enemy 5 feet over here, and then there's another enemy 20 feet over there. I can rapid fire all in the same cluster, but I can split my targets with any amount, between any creatures within that same diameter or that same radius. So that I think would be kind of cool. Because I think, again, if I have the ability to shoot 6 times, but there's only 2 enemies, why would I still only shoot twice? I should be able to unleash, even if it even said you can make up to your proficiency bonus spread equally among the number of creatures in the radius.
So I kind of want to adjust this a little bit just to make it a little bit easier. And I feel like, especially because of like the idea of what it sounds like imagine if I'm just like, and then just like I'm just doing rapid freaking fire arrows. Like say I let 20 arrows go. 20 arrows fall down in this 20-foot radius, and they have to make a dexterity saving throw or take X amount of damage.
Mm.
Or potentially half as much. I don't know if half as much. It could be a save or suck. It could be because either this is hit or miss. This is hit or miss, which is basically save or suck. Right?
Yeah.
Except you're doing the roll, not them. So I the reason why I say that is because if we're talking about doing individual attacks, like I totally am down with the resolve points for attacking an area of people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has the potential to take whatever the fireball damage is, whatever the damage is for that space, right? And I think you could do it a little bit more than the attack. Like give it the 2d6 because you get an additional d6 whenever you once per turn anyway. So like let this give everybody the opportunity to take that damage or half as much on a save or something like that. That's my thought.
Yeah, and because again, it depends on if you're looking at this as a targeted series of arrows, or again just kind of a rapid volley where you're not really aiming. So then I can understand where you're gonna hit enough of the 20-foot area where everyone will get hit if they're in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It also just tells me though, like, that's kind of nice, but again, it would be kind of nice if I could just like shrink it down, you know what I mean? Like use that volley against a single target and actually have it like, because what if the target's like big? Like what if the target takes up the entire, if it's a huge creature? Could I justifiably hit it with all my hits? So that's where I was making the argument where I wouldn't mind if it just had the verbiage where I could decide in that area who's getting hit. But I like it though. I love the idea. This is something that I have in High Point where you can reach a level of bow where your multi-attack and some magic can essentially do this, where you can combine some things and do basically a shower of arrows. It's great. It's awesome. So I like it. I like that it's tied to the proficiency bonus. I just wish there was a little bit more control, not just like a flat up to this many people, but either one. I don't mind it only costing 2 though. Again, I think that's a very valid point. I think costing too much more than 3 resolve points for something like that would start to make it unworthy or not as good to use.
Not wanting to use it. Yeah. I agree.
All right, but moving on, 14th level, almost done. Eagle's Eye. Your range attacks ignore half cover and 3/4 cover. When you score a critical hit with a ranged weapon attack, add 2 additional weapon die to the damage. So 2 additional instead of doubling it, I guess. So you triple it. Because when you hit with a critical, you just hit with a critical. So you add 2 additional weapon die, but with critical, don't you double it? So you're adding and then you're doubling. Is that how that reads?
So
it goes from a 1d6 to a 3d6 to a 6d6.
The range okay, so I think this is saying when you crit, you do your normal crit damage. So if your normal crit damage is double the dice, great. If your normal crit damage is max damage, great. If your normal crit damage is whatever, great. Now add 2 more die onto it.
Okay,
that's what I'm.
So just after the fact, just 2 die after you do your normal damage roll. Okay, so I like that.
Like a super mega crit.
I think the only other thing I would add here is what you alluded to earlier. Also add prone. Ignore half cover, 3/4 cover, and you don't have disadvantaged hitting prone targets.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Like why not? Like why? Like how often is that going to be a problem? You know what I mean? Like a true problem.
Interesting. Hecate's slowly been accumulating all the different pieces of the sharpshooter feat. Sharpshooter attacks at long range don't impose disadvantage. Your ranged weapon attacks ignore half cover and 3/4 cover. And this one's a little bit different. I was gonna say the crossbow expert gives you when you are within 5 feet of an enemy target, it doesn't give you disadvantage on your attack rolls, which is the other feature.
But those are some great, those are great features to default to.
Absolutely. But no, I love the fact that this is here. I think that it helps so much, especially when it comes to like what you are. You're a freaking sniper, dude.
Yeah, and that's why I think the prone would matter. I think honestly, being able to hit a prone target would totally fit right here. Because then it would also just make you more present in like the main combat that's happening outside of just being, you know, picking people off.
Sure.
All right. So let's see our final capstone, level 18, heart-piercing shot. Oh, is this a called shot like I was hoping? Finally, as an action, spend 3 resolve points to make a single shot. A single devastating shot with your Yumi. If the attack hits, it deals triple damage dice. Roll your weapon damage dice 3 times, re-rolling ones once. Then add your modifiers. So I like that. So you can't roll ones, or at least you can't roll ones more than once. If this shot reduces a creature to 0 hit points, you regain 1 resolve point. That's great. You can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Honestly, I kind of feel like this right here should be on every ability, every attack ability on every subclass. Almost like if you're gonna use a resolve or anything, if you're gonna use an ability and you down an enemy with it, I think that should always give you a resolve point personally. Like so far, everything we've read, if you're using one of your samurai abilities and you down someone, it sounds like that should just be a default.
You think that should be a part of the main class, basically?
Yeah, just anywhere you see that.
Hit points, you regain a resolve point.
Yeah, or you know using a samurai ability and you do so, whether it's your weapon or one of these things. But yeah.
Oh, got you. Okay.
And then you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. This is great. So 3 times damage dice. It's kind of like what I was saying, like it's a cold shot, right? You're just gonna do one kill blow. This is either where before a capstone, I would either want more resolve, being the ability to add resolve points to add damage, or make multiple attacks. Like it's great, but as a capstone, I can only do this once. And is this really as big of a capstone? Triple damage dice. So like, you know, if it's a D6, 3d6, then any modifiers isn't the most impressive thing I've ever heard for a capstone.
Okay, so...
And again, we don't have like overcoming piercing immunity, which would be amazing. Like right now, if you could overcome piercing immunity like we saw before.
I do like that. I definitely like that. But it says triple the damage dice, right? So if I'm tripling the damage dice, and theoretically I want to use my first level ability, and once per turn, when I hit with a ranged weapon attack, I deal an extra 1d6. If I'm dealing that extra 1d6, that means I'm doing 2d6. And if that triples, then that means I'm doing 6d6. If I can do 66 with one attack, that feels kind of crazy.
So Hecate is mentioning how a lot of these are also supposed to, you know, go in line with the techniques themselves. So there are a lot of techniques that do additives, right? And each of those costing resolve points. Sure. But the thing is while that is
rolls and stuff.
Yeah, and while that's a good point, like for sure that is a great point to remember. I still think that's yes, it's good to remember, but these still need to stand on their own to an extent, because when all of your resolve is gone and you have no more techniques, if that is the only thing that was keeping you up or keeping you really like formidable, it doesn't necessarily put you at the same level as other classes where, you know, I guess outside of like a wizard, like once a wizard blows all their spells, they're kind of useless, right? And that's kind of, this has a lot more going for it than a wizard, but it does seem that, yeah, if we're going to rely a lot on those different techniques to make these like fulfilled, I would just say that, yeah, making sure that those get properly tested, properly balanced, just to make sure that, again, you're not getting into too many situations where if you don't plan it out right, you essentially are a wizard without spells, you know, too often.
Sure. And I'll say I agree with you too, Hecate. I think for the most part these abilities do stand well on their own. I do think that, again, so correct me if I'm wrong. If if you do use your deadly aim to get an additional d6, and at that same time I used this last ability that we were just talking about, the heart piercing shot, and I used 3 resolve points. So I know I'm going to get 2d6 already. Now I use 3 resolve points to make a single attack a devastating attack, right? And I triple my dice. That would be 6 dice. Like, if we're saying this works that way, then absolutely this for sure stands on its own. And once per short or long rest is exactly what we're looking for. Like, I think this does phenomenal, especially because it could be either way. It could be either way. Like, say somebody theoretically forgot and they used their 2d6 on the first round. All right, well, this one's only going to get 3d6. Okay, fine, right? It's still 3d6, right? Still a total of what? Almost not 24. 18. You could do 18 points of damage plus whatever your dexterity bonus is, right? You know, that's not bad. For 3 resolve points at level 18, maybe I wouldn't use it for that one. Maybe I would only use it on the double. But the techniques are going to add a lot. If there are any techniques that like add full damage dice, like say let me actually go look, see if there's any techniques in the original one that could add a whole other damage die to. Was there a list of techniques that was separate? There was. Samurai techniques list, that's right. But if there's something that can like add a damage die to something, that's a melee attack, deal 1 additional damage die. But I'm sure one of them added something to the ranged attacks. Like, you could do so much with this. You could combo these things so that it increases its effectiveness exponentially. And so that's something that I definitely want to look at, because that could make this feel perfect, or it could make it feel stupid powerful. Like, stupid powerful.
I mean, that's what 5e's for.
I mean, yes, but I think there is something to be said for it to be within a range of power, right? Like, you don't want somebody who's level 18 to feel like they're a god, right? Not yet, right?
Not yet. You still got 2 levels.
You still got 2 levels, right? Like, you wanna make sure that they feel like they're working towards whatever's at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So looking at this one, yeah. Like, I do like this one more than the Pole Master, but I still don't like it more than the Katana. Like, I still think the Swordsman felt the most complete, and it felt the most in line with the main class. I think those have the best synergy. I think these other two have definitely a lot going for them, but
do you think it's a full point difference, or is it like within the 7 range or within the 8 range?
I think this is still more complete than the Polar. I think this one's closer to the Katana, so I'll probably give this one an 8 as well. Okay. Equally, there are things that I would change about it, but not as much into the severity that I would change the Polar in terms of what I think is usable from it, from that perspective. So there's a lot going on for this. Again, the techniques are great. It is a unique complexity to this type of class build that I really like, where they all kind of have these techniques. They have the main class features, they have the subclass features. I think it's a great concept. But it does take a lot of pre-planning, which is not my preferred style of gameplay. Like, it really does take you knowing all of the techniques through and through, the subclass through and through, and really understanding the level of action economy with the resolve points in terms of this is very much a meta type of build, which is just, again, not my preferred play style. So while I do like where this is going, it fits right in with 5th edition. Just the changes I would have to make would have to take it away from being so heavily required to know, everything ahead of time. Like again, that's why I said the katana felt the most in line with playing through that kind of narrative and that kind of storyline. These other two feel like I need to know well in advance what I'm doing. Whereas the katana, I felt a little bit more like I could just play that from the beginning and feel my way through it. If that makes more sense.
Sure. Absolutely.
But I mean, still strong scores. I mean, you can't beat 2 8s and a 7.
Oh no. These are phenomenal across the board. I think it's so interesting. Like I feel like we have just as much to say about a 5 as we do an 8 or a 9. You know what I mean? But it doesn't negate like the value that we see in them, and I think hopefully that's represented here well. But I think what we're looking at is really very strong, and what you get from these subclasses and how they work, especially with the main class. Again, we have all these techniques that can integrate, the fact that some of the stuff that we have, I think maybe a little bit more in the katana class, like actually have something that uses resolve points, like feel like you're connecting to that main class a little bit more rather than just subliminally connecting to it. But I do think the way the main class was set up in a way that it can be used in such a universal way. You have this collection of techniques that you get to use with your subclass and your subclass features, and you can just build upon it almost like Legos. And I think that's such a cool way to play with it. It feels very reminiscent of the Battle Master in a certain way, because of how you play around with the techniques, very similar to what are they actually called as a Battle Master? Are they still techniques? No, they're maneuvers. They're maneuvers for the Battle Master. But yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. I like it so much. I am so heavily inspired by what we are seeing here, and I am.
So when can we expect yours? The Kage Samurai.
America. God bless America.
You've been talking about it for over a year, so Hecate got us one with 3 subclasses, no less.
yeah, and maybe here's the deal. Like, when it comes to something like this, I am a lightweight perfectionist, and it's like I could work on this thing into eternity, right? So at a certain point, you just gotta shove some shit out there and call it good, right? Like, again, it's not like you don't want it to be trash, but like you gotta like put pen to paper, and it's like, all right, at a certain point, you gotta say, all right, this is what we're doing. You know what I mean? So maybe I should just give myself a deadline. I think I'll actually mess with that in Discord. I might.
I mean, there's nothing that says that you have to do a full submission. You can just bring to a stream on a Friday what you got, and just hash it out.
I mean, that's fair. But like, I have so much in my mind. And if I were to show you guys what I have, I don't know if you've ever actually looked into Obsidian, but one of the features that they have is this little chart that like has all of your notes in it, and it has all these little strings for like the different connections, and it has all these different bubbles and areas. Like, that's what the samurai flowchart has. Is like, I haven't fully decided, oh, this should be in this subclass, this should be in this subclass. I'm like, oh, I want to use this.
So you have all the individual ideas, but not where they're going to go yet.
Yes, like it needs to get like, all right, this is going to be a part of this subclass, this is going to be a part of this subclass. These features, for sure, main class features. These features over here. So it's like, all right, let's start putting things where they go. Let's start organizing things. But no, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. So I'm going to have you guys help me. Number one, deadline. Give me a deadline, because that's really what I need. I need a little bit of accountability. All right, we're gonna do this by this date.
I mean, why not say that you get it by the end of May? That gives you like 2 months.
End of May, I can do that. I can have something by the end of May.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Like we could start, June. We could do like the first, either the last Friday in May or the first Friday in June. We could set you up for like a presentation day. Show us what you got.
All right.
The Summer Samurai. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it the Summer Samurai special.
Summer Samurai. Ooh.
So on Friday, you know, the first Friday of June, we're gonna have the Samurai special, the Summer Samurai special, where you're gonna bring us.
Special. Oh, it's so wild. Right.
Hecate wants to know how many more they have in the chamber before they're out.
Bro.
Also, don't forget to update the schedule today.
Yes. I'm actually looking at that. Let me look. I don't have. I think. Let me double check. It might just be one. It might just be one.
Oh no, we've run out. We're running out.
Uh-oh.
Are we out? Was that the last one from him?
I think we're out, dude. I think we're out.
Bye. Get us more. Hecate, get us more.
The only other thing I have from you, last time we talked, you told me we were putting this on hold, which is the Grave Weaver subclass, your wizard subclass. But last time I talked to you, you told me we were putting that on hold, and I haven't heard back about that. So I've still got that one chilling. If you're good with that, I can run it through, and we can do that next. But other than that, yeah, I thought there was one more, but I'm not seeing it. I thought that, yeah, that's it.
What do we got next week? What's the next one coming up?
Next one we have up. Let me make sure. I think it's going to be the Unbound Speedster by Super Foxer.
Ooh, okay.
Correct. Ooh, wait. Yes.
All right. All right, Unbound Speedster next Monday. You're out Friday, so it's just going to be me.
Correct.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm either going to do a cooking stream or I'm going to do like another Fortnite Friday. I checked the live channel. The last time I did Fortnite like all day, I got like 50 views apparently. So I might have to try that again. I don't know.
Fortnite. People love Fortnite, bro.
Apparently. But yeah, so I'll either do a cooking stream or I'll do a gaming stream this weekend or this Friday.
Oh, so the way this looks, after the Unbound Speedster, I think all we have left is Desmar.
Uh-oh. So we're out from everybody. So we need to make a rally cry
We just got a
in
bunch of
Discord.
Desmar after that.
All right, we gotta make a post in Discord this week and let everybody know that y'all gotta get your submissions in because we're running dry.
Yeah, I'm looking in here right now.
Get those submissions in Discord.
Oh, no, we do have one, another one from Cosmic.
Oh, nice.
Waiting in the wings.
Cool. So Cosmic and Dez are coming up after Super Foxer.
Yeah.
All right, get us those new ones in. Get those things finished. Oh, and there is some chit chat in the sub chat. So if y'all want to subscribe and then go into the sub chat in the Discord, there is a competition brewing, another subclass showdown. So we'll see what I think that's Hecate and Soul are doing that again. So we'll see what they have in store for us, and we'll see how that one goes. Hopefully, we'll see that in a couple months. But all right. Oh, actually. Hold on. Something just. What am I thinking? It's March. No, that's gonna be long before. I was thinking about. I mentioned May, and May is gonna be our 3-year anniversary, so we'll have to do a subathon in May.
Oh, that's right. 3 years, man.
3 fucking years, my dude. Every week. 3 years we've been here, plugging away.
Yes.
It's gotten easier. I will say that we're almost 3 hours in. We've just done 3 reviews. Like, it's getting easier. But I wish it paid more.
True.
Be nice to get more than like $8 a month, but hey, you know, it's fun. That's all that matters.
Hey, we starting somewhere, man. We starting somewhere.
All right, y'all. Well, hey, thank you for hanging out for this review, Hecate. Thank you so much for the submissions. Congratulations on the 2 8s and a 7. Not bad. We will see you all next week with another review. I will see you this Friday for either gaming or cooking. I don't know. We'll find out. It depends on how I'm feeling after work. So join us for that. But otherwise, I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys have a great week ahead of you. We'll see you guys later. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.